Hello, welcome to Blaine's Escape Corner. I am Blaine. Yes, I ran the intro twice. That's because I ran down once to grab the sock out of the freezer. Keep it right here on my thighs because it'll help cool me down. And also, I had to run down a second time to grab a cup because I forgot like an idiot. And then I came running upstairs and ran into that. Hello, Rosie. Good to see you. Good to talk to you. Even if it's for just a little bit. Whoo. Okay. Let me turn this volume off. And then we will turn this one also volume off. There we go. Now we won't get buzzed throughout this. Whew. All right. Today is hour for the Yeezy supply day. Not the best hour, but still an hour I wanted to look at. Still hot. Not as bad. Still descending. So today the room with AC is 79. Yesterday it was 81. So we are improving. whatever that may mean. Ooh, this is really cold. Boom. Alrighty. It's into the old kapu. Oh. Jimmy, I'm Jimmy Jam. Oh dear goodness. Oh. Kampai, everyone. Delicious. Now I need a napkin because I don't want to wipe it on these shorts. I will be right back. Ah! All right, I'm back. I've got a nappy campy in, and we're good. Alrighty, I would like to start by carrying on a conversation from the Discord into the stream here. Alrighty, we pull this up and let them know that I'm continuing the story. I will continue the tale of Ambrosia on stream. Alrighty. Ambrosia is delicious and it's amazing. And it's the reason everyone you know that goes to a Baptist church has diabetes. But it's the only reason. Trust me. For those of you who don't know, ambrosia is a salad. It's a salad that you bring to potlucks. But it's not just any salad. Let's pull up the ambrosia. We'll do the Food Networks one. You do have to say thank you so much for your live streams. They're always wonderful and amazing. Oh, thank you. I try to make them fun. Have it be a little blast, a little place where we can join and chat a little bit. Hey Joe! How are you? How are you today? You want to talk about anime Matsuri? Would that be fun? Oh my goodness. Maybe Joe Ball also knows a fantastic ambrosia recipe. We're gonna take a peek here at the old Alton Brown because Alton Brown knows how to make some food. That is for sure. So this is a salad, but realistically, we're talking about marshmallows, canned oranges, cherries, pineapple, and whipped cream all stirred together, and it is fantastic. Still recovering. You stop by. Still recovering. Maybe you should stop smoking. Then it wouldn't take so long for you to recover from Matsuri. So with this recipe, we have a half cup of heavy cream, a tablespoon of sugar. You have to go now? Alrighty. Have a wonderful day. Enjoy your earlier time period from us. Running 6 ounces of marshmallows. They're running clementine oranges. They're running pineapple juice. They're running coconut, freshly grated. Pecans. Get the pecans out of here. Never add pecans to your ambrosia. This smoky's the only thing keeping you alive. At least I know what's going in my throat when I breathe in. What do you think's going in your throat? I get it. I get it, definitely. Yeah, so these are freaking delicious. They're amazing. You can make it with literally going down the canned fruit aisle and then grabbing some mini mallows and some whipping cream and just stir it until it's ready to go. It's freaking amazing. It's one of the greatest things ever designed, but it will make you both fat and diabetic. You don't know what to do with your hands, that's why you smoke. Hey, how are you doing today? That's why I drink, is because I don't know what to do with my hands. I just put a cup, and that cup has liquid in it, and that liquid is delicious. That's usually it's usually how it works out. Oh, I have a message request. What is message requesting me? Oh, it's like one of those mass things. Get out of here. Get out of here. All right, I'm gonna throw this at you, but take your time because I've got stuff to talk about. Let's start with anime. 15 or 20. Okay, 15 or 20 will be perfect. I'll just throw the link. You can pop in whenever you're free. Since how was Matsuri's stream seem to be the new hotness, so we can exploit the algorithm there. Let's talk about anime. What was I watching? What have I watched? What was the most recent updates? I got 3 for you. Harem Labyrinth in Another World, episode 2. Starting out with a little bit of a sneaky peeky, a little bit of a hey, there's gonna actually be a harem in this show. And then jumping into the actual labyrinth to see kind of what's going on with the economy of this world, getting us invested in that idea of like, oh, well, what's he gonna have to do to make money? How is he gonna do this? XYZ, who cares? I just want to see him, finally attain his goals, right? Let's root for our ding dong until he makes it. The little like preview in the beginning, I don't know how that was played out in the manga, but that's kind of an interesting idea of like, hey, let's fast way forward. And that's what it's called. It's called fast way forward, not fast forward a lot. So we fast way forward, and so and so's kid's got your same hair, and it's like, yeah, it's copy paste your hair. It's not even like, it doesn't make sense really, because his hair is modeled after his ability to do hair in Japan when he first entered the game, and then this kid just has his hairdo. Super freaking weird. But I like the hints as to where the show is going. I like that it's actually not just let's build let's call it harem, but it's actually going to be just the one girl that he's interested in. Let's not make a real harem, because that would be a little too, we can't picture what that would be like in anime or manga. Like, that wouldn't be a thing. So we'll just we'll make it one girl that he's interested in, a bunch of girls that just hang around, and you end up with like the couple, and then like 6 friends who happen to be girls, right? Like that's most harem anime, at least when they're translating them. And it looks to be like actually sticking through with it for actual harem. So we'll see. There's only one way to make Dash in Another World: pimp out your monster girls. Yeah, but first you got to get the monster girls. You need that seed money. You need that seed investment. What he really needs to do is say, hey, dude who owns the slaves, give me a loan. I will pay you back over 2 years time, XYZ. Like, get into that with low money down and a monthly rate that's decent, so that you can actually, get going now, pimp them out and actually make some money. It's the only way. It's the only way. Number two that I watched between yesterday and today, Gonna go to Call of the Night. Continuing to be fantastic. You know, the thing that I love most, I think, about Call of the Night is the color palette. I love that the entire street and scene is purple. That the next scene is all yellow from the glow of the vending machines. That you know, they have these very consistent. They're in like a little restaurant and it's like very red, with the lights all of a sudden. Just I love the color direction there, which is weird to say as a colorblind person. So very very happy, very pleased with the way that Call of the Night is using color to sort of differentiate scenes, show us different feels, and get us involved in it. Episode 3 means I've only learned about childhood friend, but I am excited to keep watching. It is still holding on to me. Vermeil in gold. Okay, Vermeil in gold is fantastic for me. It has all of the little bits and the little traits of like, oh, this is you know, just a silly booba show. But then it's like, oh, but then Professor Man is bad man, and then you know, something else comes up and it's like, oh, we have different types of mana, and like you know, it starts to get to a point where like there's more and more and more and more interesting things pop up. But at the surface, it's still silly booba show where summoned familiar wants dessert, and when boy gets hugged, he gets embarrassed, right? Like it's a funny, silly little show as far as all that's concerned. But at the same time, super enjoyable, I would say. I'm trying to find, there was like a picture someone posted and I was like, oh man, has Michael seen this picture yet? Of Vermeil going like Super Saiyan crazy mode. But I don't know if I can scroll that far. What if I just search it? Vermeil in gold. No, this isn't gonna get me. This isn't gonna get me what I need. I need this picture of her going to like monster mode. It was kind of crazy. I was like, whoa. There we go. This is the it's like, whoo, there's gonna be more to the show, baby. I quite enjoy the duality of this show, considering the whole show up till now has been just sort of like silly haha booba show. So very very exciting to go through that. And I think for this series, like this season, I'm farthest into Vermeil and Gold. That's the show that has gotten me to come back more than any other show. Most of the rest of them, you know, I'm at 3 or 1 or 0, you know, for quite a few. But Vermeil and Gold is got me. It's speaking to me. It's speaking to me the same way that Otome Game spoke to me last season. You feel like you wouldn't miss anything skipping episodes 3 to 4? I could cut episodes 3 and 4 into 10 minutes that you have to see. Because you're right, like they focus a lot more on like the relationship building side of things. But like little things like Professor Shadowy Pants, they should be added. The idea, although, be honest with me, Serranos, when we were fighting Chris Westland, the Dragon Princess, and she was standing on the dragon, you're like, oh, she's gonna win. She's short. She's like a chibi. Did you think she was a lolly? And then all of a sudden in this episode, you're like, oh, she's Chibi Booba. She ain't no lolly. That caught me off guard. I was like, whoa, we're getting lacy exposure here that I was not expecting to go along with all that cleave. Whew. I was expecting it to be just another dragon lolly girl. But no, they were like, hey, yeah, short girls can have boobs too. It happens. and I appreciate it. Let us. Let's do waifus next. Let's kind of go in order here. You only watched the first 2 episodes, don't remember seeing her. Oh, she's at the end of the 2nd episode, I think. Does she pop in at the end of the 2nd episode? Because she's definitely there in the 4th episode. Like 4th episode is where they fight. Maybe she's at the end of the 3rd episode now that I think about it. But you should watch it. Tell me what your thoughts are as you go through. So for this list, we're rolling through top 10 anime waifus spring 2022 from Honey's Anime, because it's a weird website that I think is hilarious. Yutori Kokorogi. I have trouble picking anyone as a waifu from Tomodachi Game when it feels like everybody just kind of hates each other. I don't know. I get it. Like, you're like, oh, I gotta pick somebody. Short stacks, best racks. Plump rump on the shorty dump. I don't know how to say that any better. Number 9, Steina from I'm Quitting Heroing. And then Nia from Date Alive, because Date Alive has to... I'm surprised this isn't like a list of Date Alive characters, honestly. With, Shoko, she's got her people. Just went to episode 5 to check out Vermeil, and the Judgment Sword at 9:45 to 10 minutes looked pretty bad. The Judgment Sword at 9:45 to 10 minutes looked pretty bad. I don't remember Judgment Sword. Maybe we're watching different shows. Zero, the Mud Witch. She's kind of a mommy in that. Stumpy's Pack Big Dumpies. Oh, I knew I could count on you, Geminire. Oh my goodness. Angelica Ralph Redgrave. Agree. Top 5 probably for the season. I'm on board with this. This reminds me that I need to go back and watch Summertime Rendering. I can't believe I forgot about it. Your version might not have subtitles the ability. Oh, I see what you're saying. Oh, yeah, okay. Okay, yeah, no. She definitely said that. She said sort of judgment or something. Or whatever. It's her sprint. That's what's weird looking. Is it's like she kind of flies past, but then it like shows her sprinting towards the monster for some reason, and it's like this weird tick 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 tick, where like both legs are just moving without bending her knees. It's very, very strange. Yes, you are correct. That did look weird. Shikimori made top 3 on this list, so the spin too look weird. Well, let's pull it up. Let's watch some weird-looking crap, then. Decimi! Decimi beats Shikimori on this list and in our hearts. We all know the truth. And Your Forger, which, should definitely be up there. Your middle finger's banged up. Well, that's what you get for trying to flip somebody off when they didn't want to be. I cut myself today to see if I... whatever it is. All right, let's see if I can do this. It was about 10 minutes in. Boo, 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 boo. Okay, yeah, here we go. Let's criticize the animation quality. I focus on the pain, the only thing that's real. The only version of that song is the Oh my gosh, how am I forgetting the Man in Black's name? Johnny Cash. So that's enough. So we get, you know, a immediate halt. We're like, okay, something else is popping in here. Quick flow through, and then just this angle's weird. Like, it's sort of a strange angle. Why are we looking like between them, but they're facing each other now? This. Oh wait, that's too far. Hold on. It reminds me of like old like Newgrounds animation where they were just like blah 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 blah. Eyeball sword. It's a millennium item. Even that looks weird, and I think it's because I'm gonna make an assumption that each of these are drawn frames as opposed to, like, I'm not seeing, even when I pause, the only thing I'm seeing is like blur lines. I'm not seeing any actual like in between. Like they're trying to make a Lego run. Yeah. Arms are at a weird angle, but it's not the worst thing ever. I do wonder though if this is a weird version of like CG animation, because you watch her do that double twirly thing. Like this could easily be a CG model, but like it's very weird because it looks 2D drawn, but then she does like this perfect little twirly thing. But like it looks drawn. Like if you're trying to make a CG model that looks drawn, like congratulations. But what you've done is made Yeah, okay. Mine did say Judgment Sword. I just forgot that it was called Judgment Sword. Yeah, there's just something off about how that was animated. And I wonder now, looking at it, if it was done like a rigged model that then had a 2D overlay on it or something. It would make sense. It would make sense. I mean, maybe it would make sense. Maybe it wouldn't. All right, let's bitch about some shoes. Do we want to start with the good shoes or the other shoes? I'll let everybody sort of take a breath, and in honor of Yeezy Day, we will be looking at shoes. Posted your cut on Discord after you put some magical healing glue. That stuff is actually crazy. The like second skin type stuff. Second skin is pretty crazy. Let's see. What are we doing on Discord here? Oh, gross. Yeah, don't never catch a knife. That's a rule for life and a rule for the stock market. Bum, 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 bum. Oh, you're still freaking out about that. That's funny. That is funny, Paro-chan. Yeah, that's not bad. That's not that bad. I wonder if I'm gonna be able to like show this off. Letting things fall is a habit you get into, saves you lots of pain. And then the other habit you get into, I don't care how far away I drop something, I always scooch my feet back. Like, like you just kind of like do that little quick jump backwards with your feet, because I don't care how steel-toed the boot is. I'm gonna take something to a boot and it's gonna end up hurting. This is like gonna be kind of hard to like explain, but like on my thumb here, there's like a little bit of bounce right here, and basically I was cutting something with a razor blade, It was like way farther out than it probably needed to be, and I was like working it through, and then all of a sudden it just went through, and it went into the side of my thumb up to like my midway through the first joint here, so like just past the nail bed, and the entire side was just kind of like flopping open. And I like held it back together, and I like went in, and I was like, honey, I need you to go grab me a bandage. And she was like, okay. She came back with a bandage, and I was like, all right, so I'm gonna let go, and I just need you to put the antibiotic in, and then we'll wrap it up. And it like opened up and just started oozing blood, and she was like, oh my god, what is that? And I was like, I need you not freaking out right now, and just to tape this back together, please. You see, you grabbed it, your hand slipped off the box into your knife, which really sucks. Oh man, that really does suck. You'll figure out which foot it goes on. It never lands on the steel toe anyway. Usually hits higher up on the boot where there's no protection. Oh, if it falls into the boot, that just the idea of that. Ugh, terrifying. Only catch falling if there is a cute girl around. 1, to show off, and 2, so she can take you to the hospital. Oh, that's a great idea. Don't even know how you type out socks. I do. You typed in sucks, and then it came up with socks. All right. The following program is coming to you from a sneaker snob who I grew up with like the discount pay less Airwalks, right? I want Converse like everybody else has. Well, these look like Converse. Okay. And they were Airwalks. They were basically a cheaper, worse version of that, but they were like $15, $20. I don't even remember what they cost at the time, but they were cheap, and I wore one out every year basically, because you're a growing kid, you don't have the same shoe every year. And so I grew up with very, very cheap shoes, but I had one pair of shoes that my grandmother had gotten for me that were very nice. They were very nice dress shoes from Steve Madden. I think even that being said, they were still like, we got them at it's called Nordstrom Rack. It's sort of a discount store of a fancy store. But I realized like, oh, some shoes are really, really nice. I kind of like this. So I grew up with the shoe that wasn't even a Skechers. It was like a Smetchers, and you were happy because you had something on your feet. Now I'm an adult, I make my own money, and I have it, so I buy nicer shoes. I've become a bit of a snob about shoes in my time. So if you wear shoes of a brand that I'm about to make fun of, please realize that it can still be a comfortable shoe. You can still enjoy the shoe, and I can still think it looks silly. My own father wears Skechers, and I make fun of him for it consistently. He also wears Crocs, so there's no helping. There's no helping some people. But we'll start out with the good shoe. With the Clarks. Pokemon is living its best life right now, and things are only going to get bigger for the franchise as the years roll forward. With a new set of games on the horizon, the series has plenty to gift fans in the next few months. And thanks to Clarks, a brand new shoe line is coming for Pokemon in time for the holidays. The announcement went live today as Clarks revealed its first ever Pokemon line. The footwear company has confirmed it will release themed pairs of Wallaby boots, and the special kicks will come embossed with Pikachu. These are awesome. These are awesome. Hail, Kitty Bear. How are you doing today? Leave your New Balance alone? I will not leave your New Balance alone. There are two types of New Balance. There's the New Balance you mow the yard in, and the New Balance that you're going to mow the yard in. I'm just kidding. You also have the 583s. So Takumi from Initial D wears New Balance. So there are two types of New Balance shoes. There's New Balance shoes that are remakes of their classic like 90s lines that are really cool. And then there's the dad shoe, the 663, 608. I forget exactly which one it is. But there's the lawn mowing shoe. So if you need adequate foot protection for mowing your lawn, you get it. You get it, all right? But if you need not that, you should pick up this embossed Pikachu shoe because this is amazing. I'm surprised that this is a Clark and not a what is the other boot? The starts with a D. Boot company. D. Goth girls wear it. Danner boots. That it? No, Danner boots is different. Dang jockey's here. Oh my goodness, my lost anime ass has arrived. What are you doing, lost anime ass? It's good to see you again. Who makes the damn shoe that all the alt chicks wear? Ugh, this is gonna take me a second. Prada, Madden, McQueen, Burberry. Doc Martin. That's what I'm trying to think of. I would have expected Doc Martin to have a collab like this, not Clark. Because the only issue I have with this shoe is that people who are into Pikachu, like the people who are into Pokemon and the people that are into Clarks, I feel are a very separate group of people. The Dami Mommy Boot Company. That's a little different. That's a little different boot company. We may talk about that, about Matsuri. The donkey is doing fine eating my grass in the backyard. Oh, funny. Indie wrestling aces. Hello. Are you a big fan of indie? I actually just started watching indie races recently. The farmers something high thumping farmers, and you know what blows me away most about indie is that they run the high, like the air shocks for the or not shocks, the air jacks for their pit stops. I'm like, whoa, that's crazy. Big fan of Joe Ball. Awesome. We'll have him here in a minute to start talking anime Matsuri. But you got me. You got indie and wrestling. Those are two things I enjoy. Like race cars of any kind, I'm a huge fan of. And then wrestling, of course, also a ton of fun. But I don't know who's into Clark's shoes and Pokemon, so I don't know who this shoe was really designed for. I think that's the only downside to it. But let's get into the big announcement. Skechers and Demon Slayer. How does Skechers keep getting the collabs? I don't get it. They had a Sailor Moon collab. They have all kinds of stuff. Look at these shoes. They look like damn Skechers. They're comfortable as hell, but they look like Skechers. Oh, the Nezuko one, not bad, but only because it's interesting to me. The rest of these, they're just funky. They're just funky. Hello, Joe. How are you?
Oh, I'm all right, brother. How are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Look at the detail on the bird on the back of this shoe.
Yeah, that's
They're
nice.
they're
That
like-
looks high quality.
They're like, yeah, we'll put a lot of detail. We'll make this like a really good thing. And it's poof, it's a Sketcher, and you're like, God dang it! Why is half the shoe sole?
Well,
Oh,
I
I
mean,
don't.
like Skechers, just they're very hip and very ahead of the curve, and they know that it's all about gigantic soles to make tiny people feel tall. They're smart. I've seen these shoes floating around now that are all like, "Hey, are you 5'8"? Buy these cool sneakers, and you'll be 6 foot, brother." And
Are
they
you?
show all these like short guys being like, "Oh man, I feel like a man finally." It's
Oh my
ridiculous.
goodness! Now we finally know who's keeping Ethan Ralph in money.
hmm The creators of making dad shoes less ugly, Skechers.
Oh my goodness! This blows me nuts. Blows me nuts. I can't even speak right. That's
You sound like you're a some kind of pirate. Arr, it blows me nuts. Like it's
yar.
some pirate
You blow
slang.
me.
It's
I
like a
might as
pirate's
well
way
be.
of saying he's horny, but he can't. Those words didn't exist yet to describe it. Arr, it blows me nuts. Look at
Right.
that ass.
The Japanese clearly love their Skechers. Do they? That's why all kids own Skechers. I think kids own Skechers because Skechers are cheap, like I was saying, and well, I guess not anymore. They're really not anymore. They used to be. They used to be cheap, and you could buy them for your kids because your kids' feet keep growing, and you can buy another one without really crying about it. But now Skechers are starting to get pricey, and you're like, "But you're a Sketcher, damn it! Why are you so expensive?"
They probably had to move locations, and it's costing them like 3 more cents on the 16 cents an hour they have to pay the labor. They're like, oh Jesus, 25 cents an hour. Gonna have to raise those prices. This is,
Definitely.
Vietnam. We're going to dip out back to China if you don't get us some deals on that labor.
Are are you at a point in your life where you have a shoe, like where it's like, you go to buy shoes, you're like, I like this shoe. This is the shoe I'm gonna buy.
Not
Or do you just kind of buy
necessarily. I
whatever's
mean,
available?
I always lean towards like Nike just because it's
Mm-hmm.
like the popular brand I grew up on, and I still have like a soft spot for a brand, even though it's done nothing for me. It's just something familiar and nostalgic. But like I own a lot of Jordans, and I wear them though. They're not like collectors. Like I wear them till they're fucking done, and then I throw them in the trash. But
Good.
I
Good. Wear your grails.
yeah, but my mother-in-law at one point, like years ago, she worked at a like a shoe store chain, like one of these places you'd see like connected to like a Walmart slash mini mall area or something. So when shoes would go on clearance, anything that was like within the realm of my size, she would just buy it. Because after her discount as a manager, it was costing her like $2.50 for like an $80 pair of shoes when they were new to the shelf.
Jeez. Yeah.
So she would just stock up on them. So every Christmas, I get like 10 pairs of new shoes from her. So I haven't had to buy shoes in ages. Now, she hasn't worked there for a while, but that's how big her stockpile was. It was like, it's like people that get coupons and can't resist just buying it just because they have a coupon. So
Right.
whether they need it or not. So like I rarely even buy shoes. Like I'm just gifted incredible amounts of shoes in my life. And
Like a special power.
yeah, it's a nice like problem to have. Like I never have to buy clothes. I never have to buy shoes. Rarely do I have to buy those things. People just give me large quantities of that stuff because they don't know what else to get me.
Well,
So
there you go.
they get tired of hearing me say paper and ink pens. Like, they'll be like, "But I bought you that for years."
week.
I'm like, "But that's what I use. Like that's something I actually will use and I actually need.
Right.
It will be something that I'll find useful." Yeah, and I can't ask them for Transformers at my age. They only let me get away with that my first adult Christmas because I didn't have a Christmas till I was like 19. So
Yeah.
that was that first Christmas. My mother-in-law told my wife like, tell John to just write a list of anything he wants. We're not going to be judgmental about it, and we'll figure it out because we know he's never had a Christmas. So like that first Christmas over at their house, my wife had like 200 or 300 bucks in like clothes and shoes. And then I literally had
Fleshlight.
like a couple
Oh, you
thousands
had a
of
wife at this time.
dollars
Sorry.
worth of like toys beside me. You know, like
Yeah.
GI Joes, Transform, like all the ridiculous stuff I asked for, they went and found and
Yep.
hunted down. So I was
Oh,
just
that's
like,
awesome.
yeah, it was all the Christmases I missed jammed into one. So I was totally jacked. But that never happened again. Like if I asked for toys ever again from that point on, they just gave me the eye. Like we hooked you up in 2002. Don't even think about it. Ask for real adult stuff now. Like you got your way. Let's move on and be adults about this. But
Right.
Now I
Yeah,
got kids,
there's
so
a
I don't
weird
care.
thing that yeah, there's like a weird thing that happens when you like hit that point where you're like, "Oh, if I need something, I'll just buy it." Or I'll get it, or if it's like outside of like, "Oh, I don't really need it that bad, so it's not that big a deal." And then someone asks you
Yeah,
like, "Oh, what do you want for your birthday or what do you want for Christmas or what?" And you're like, "I don't know." You're like, I got the things that I wanted. How about can I have socks? Can I
yeah,
have money for the bills? Can I,
yeah. Because like random stuff or appliances, like I don't want that stuff. I don't need
No.
it. It's just gonna end up in the trash can like a year later, if
We
that.
li-
You know.
literally sold all of our countertop appliances and got like one like microwave unit that does like microwave toaster and everything else. And it's like, yeah, I don't want all that other crap. I want just the one thing that I got, right? Like,
Pretty
stop
much
trying
the
to.
same. Yeah, this stuff
Yeah.
just gets annoying on the counters after a while. It's just like, why is this here? I can't get anything done. Like you cook. So when you're trying to
Oh yeah.
prep and you're trying to get food ready and you need your stuff all around you because you've got to prep and time what is already happening.
Mm-hmm.
So you have all these things moving at once, and if you already are limited on counter space, there's nothing more obnoxious than like a toaster oven, a coffee pot, a thing full of all your oversized spoons and crap. Like all that stuff just gets in the way, and it makes a person that cooks feel like they're going to lose their mind and smash that stuff instantly. It's like,
Yeah.
get this shit out of my way. I'm getting stressed out now because I'm trying to cook right. And if all this work gets screwed up because of this goddamn toaster oven, I swear I'm going to smash this thing. It's in
Plus,
my
with the
way.
toaster oven gone, I have 2 knife blocks. So now you can do even more prep without having to like wash a knife halfway through.
Oh, that's great. See, that's to your advantage. That's
Mm-hmm.
the kind of thing you want on the counter for convenience. I know it's different for
Exactly.
everybody, but from a guy that actually like cooks most of the food here at home, yeah, I don't want stuff all over the counters. It drives me insane.
All right, what do you think of this hot take?
Okay.
Guys that are into shoes clearly went into their mom's closet and wore her heels. Now, this is a thing that I did as a kid. So for me, yes, that is also true. But I don't know that that's a rule. I don't know if I'm the rule for everyone who loves shoes.
Blaine, there's something I tell Lofty Pixels a lot, usually in private because we're friends and I'm not looking to be cruel to him on air like some other people. I say, Lofty, I love you. God bless you. You're one of the nicest, most good faith people I know when I speak to you. But there are certain things in life you keep to yourself, whether it's true or accurate, or even a valid reason for why you do other things. You just don't tell the rest of the world because all they're going to hear is that thing forever and never take the context that came with it.
Yeah.
This was after he said he played with Barbies. And we had the same discussion not too long before when he was trying to explain he grew up playing volleyball to relate to other sports stories. I was like, just make something up, dude. Say you played baseball. It's good
No,
enough
see,
and everyone's capable of it. Like, don't tell everyone you were like digging the Barbies. I'm like, did you pick Barbies out? He's like, yeah, a few times. I'm like, Jesus Christ, just say they're your sisters. Like, you're killing me here. I feel like you're not listening at all.
so I didn't play with Barbies, but they did come out with a Blaine like Barbie doll that of course my mom who like collects Barbies got and like gave to me. So yes, I have one, but it's in the box. It's in the package. Never played with. It smells like
Well,
pina colada.
that's all acceptable though, because your mom, just that part right there, because my mom collected Barbies. That by default gives you a valid reason to have been
Fair.
around or played with some Barbies. Like, there's nothing unusual there. But if it's like, I was at Walmart, I was a 9-year-old boy. My parents were trying to hook me up on some cheap piece of plastic.
Mm.
I looked through all the toys and settled on a Barbie. Like, that's when I'm like, okay, come on now. Like, this is getting harder to believe by the second.
Oh my
But
goodness.
God bless Lofty, he's a saint. But yeah, I never tried on my mom's shoes. That's a bridge too far for me personally. I'm sure a lot of people did it harmlessly. It's not like I'm passing some big judgment here. It's all funny to me mostly, but I don't know. Most people I know that really like shoes, which it's not like a lot of people, but like the handful, they're just like they're usually sports fans, and by default, they've turned into sneakerheads over time, just from that uptick in
That makes
like
sense.
collecting like gym shoes and sneakers and special edition shoes, and the fact that there's 10 million different like color variations of the same Jordans, and
Mine
like
was
because even
skating.
I'm to do that. Skating?
Yeah, like skateboarding.
Oh, okay.
Because
For a minute, I
I
was
used
like,
to
please
get
don't
like
say ice skating.
yes, the great ice skating shoe collab. You aren't aware of that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, skateboarding makes sense too, because shoes were literally a part of skater culture for before they were a part
Exactly.
of everyone else's uptick in shoes, like around 2008. Like skaters were into them since like the 80s. So,
Plus, like, you could get like a pair of Converse, and then it was like, yeah, but that's like my skating Converse. I need another pair that I can wear when I'm not skating. And then they have like 50 colors, and you're like, whoa, I can just have like all of the colors of Converse if I ever want to like wear blue or gray or oh, this one's camo, and you can have a closet full of shoes to wear that are all Converse and never wear the same pair 2 days in a row for like an
mhm.
entire month. So it started there, I would assume, and then when I finally won, I say won, but it was really just I clicked really quickly to get it. I actually got a pair of Yeezys. That's what started me into the like, oh, now I'm buying like I've got some Jordan 4s in the fire red colorway. I've got the Jordan 1 in the Japan Tokyo colorway. You know, once you start getting into the more expensive ones, you're like, oh, that one looks really good. Or you start shitting on one because you missed it. You're like, well, I didn't, you know, who needs an all black shoe? That's dumb.
Well, I had at least two or three pairs of Jordans that I've had between all the others where like I only got them because they were Jordans, and I wouldn't have bought them otherwise. Like they weren't really that aesthetically pleasing. It was just I like Jordans. It was that simple. So I bought them on like principle. But
Are they sixes? Because that's the one that I think is the weird one.
I don't remember which they are. They were like they came in black and red originally, and they were just super uncomfortable. They didn't have any of the straps or anything on them. They were just pure laces, but they hurt. They never broke in. I don't know how to explain it. Like you could never wear them enough to get them to eventually be comfortable. Where all the other Jordans I owned were like, boom, day one, these things are great. I love these.
I can
So
explain it.
okay.
They waterproofed them in a weird way. I have the same thing with like I've got the Nike Air Max that are like for golf, so they're like waterproofed on the outside, and they've got like the extra little nubbins on the bottom so you don't slip in the mud. But they are the first shoe that I've had to wear. I've had to wear it like around the house, and you're only supposed to wear it when you're actually playing, right? But
Yeah.
it's just it pushes into your ankle in a weird way, and it just would not like relax and loosen up until I like physically like bent it for a while before it finally felt good. It's weird, but it's only happened on the waterproof coating. So I'm curious if like the Gore-Tex ones or any of the other ones have that same issue. Um, wait, this doesn't look. Wait, is this actually every style? Oh, this looks better. This one's drawn. This will be more in character with having you on the channel today.
Okay.
Ba-do-ba-do.
Sorry, my throat is just ripped from having to scream over loud places everywhere just to speak to other people for 4 days straight.
Oh my
Let's
goodness.
see. It was the. Let me look here.
Gosh, there's so many. I
Yeah.
only ever think of the ones and the like the fours.
The third one, those are awesome. Actually, I like almost all of these. I believe it was a pair of the scroll down just a little bit. Like
This
you
one's
see
my
those
favorite.
like all red and black ones.
Oh yeah.
Imagine
Okay.
that color reversed, where the red was where the black was, and the black was where the red
Black on
was.
that.
Like I'm pretty sure it was
Okay.
those. But like you
Little
said,
bread
it may
toe
have
going.
just been some weird way they
They're
treated the shoes.
experimenting with something.
But yeah, they were awful. Like I tried wearing them for like a week and was just dying the entire time, and I just threw them in the trash. I was so mad afterwards. I was like, enough of these. I'm just making myself more angry, trying to make these work just on principle because they're Jordans, and I just let them go. I was like, there's no reason to get myself in a bad mood over shoes. They're just
Exactly.
shoes. So
Awesome. All right. Well, speaking of your sore throat, let's talk about your weekend.
yeah,
Was this your For me, this was your face reveal. So I wasn't expecting this Guy Fieri motherfucker to pop up on my Twitter timeline and sound like you. So, what is that a face reveal for everyone, or is that just me who got to experience that?
Probably just you. I've shown my face on YouTube for years. Just not so much the last year because I'm usually trying to keep people focused on what I'm drawing or it's not that I care if people see me. It's just I
Yeah,
usually have a reason for what I want them to see now because I've got a book and all that stuff. But yeah, no, most people have seen me at some point that have been around at least like Comic Skate for the last 3 to 5 years. But
awesome.
yeah, and I always if I'm gonna go in public or if I know I'm gonna be on camera a lot, I always get the fresh bleach. I always have the wife bleach me as white as possible without like my scalp like literally melting off. So
Yeah,
and I have to be careful because I have her use like the most powerful stuff she can get. Like it would make your average person's hair just fall out of their head. Because I want effectiveness the first time, but say because you get really itchy and it burns. So it's like
okay.
if you will start like within minutes, it's like I'm gonna lose my mind. It's that level of itch where if you don't deal with it right now, you're gonna literally go insane. And I'll try to just like pat or poke at it a little bit with like the bottom of a comb. But sometimes I can't take it, and I'll actually just do a quick little dig, just tiny little push inward. Every time afterwards, there was like a hole in my scalp where it pushed the skin right off, and now there's like a scab on top of my head. So like I have to be super careful. But if you would just wash it off, it washes off fine. But if you start to poke and prod while that stuff's sitting there doing its work, man, good lord.
Jeez,
I
that's too much.
beauty is chemical burns. I just
I do this.
yeah.
That's about the end of it.
Well, you're pretty handsome. You don't need the aid of bleach like I do. You don't have to use
Clo-
alternative methods to purdy yourself up.
Closest, oh, thank you for that. Closest I ever came would have been as a little kid during the summer. We'd get the sun in, squirt it in my hair, and I'd run around outside for the day, and then have like barely not frosted tips. Because that was the big thing in my middle school was getting those frosted tips. But it's
But
with the
that's like the
albino
basic way to
vanilla
go
gorilla.
about it. Yeah, yeah. Well, dude, like I was working out and trying to get into at least some decent shape all the way leading up to it because I'm one of those people where I've got like the weird genetics from both sides of my family where I
Yeah,
can lose or gain weight really easy. Like I don't have to put a whole lot of effort in either way. If I want to gain weight, I just eat a little more and I'll gain
yeah,
weight. If I want to lose weight, I just eat a little less and try to be a little more active. It's not like I have to do a ton, but just a little each day and it pans out real quickly for me. So I probably
yeah.
dropped like 15 or 20 pounds in like 3 weeks leading up to it just by eating one steak a day and a little bit of veggies. And that
Instead
was
of
it.
two steaks a day, you just cut it down to one. You
Sort
know,
of.
I
Like
I
I
did
keep
the same.
cheesesteak meat around. I bash cheesesteak meat all the time. I'll just throw it in a pan and cook that stuff up and just eat piles of it.
Do you have like a floor that you hit? Because I feel like I'm kind of similar in that vein where like, I was 205 like 2020 January. And then it just disappeared when I decided to start working out, and I stopped drinking for a month, right?
Mm,
And it just disappeared, like 20 pounds just flashed. But then
yeah.
as soon as I lost those 20, there was like, okay, the next 10, this is gonna be hell. And it was just like, God dang, this is so fucking annoying.
I think it's a possibility. The catch with me is like I'll weigh myself like eventually, but overall I just base it on what I look like what
Yeah.
where I see literal differences. I don't really base it on weight because ultimately I don't care what the number is. As long as
No.
I look normal, I'm satisfied. So if I look
That's smart.
normal at 250, I'm fine with that. If I look normal at 198, I'm fine with that. I really don't care what because I'm not like some people are just they're what is it when you process food quick and you just can't put on weight, like your metabolisms,
A
like
really
some
high
people just they're
metabolism.
yeah, like my buddy Shane Mess, my business partner, he can literally
Yeah.
eat 24 hours a day ice cream and pizza if he wanted, and he
Yeah.
will not put on hardly any weight no matter how old he gets. So he has to like to gain weight in order to get gains at the gym. It's like he
Hmm.
has to get real focused and just accept that he's just bashing food constantly, even when he's not
They're
hungry.
eating till they're almost puking. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Which I can't imagine, because for me it's the opposite. It's put the fork down and you'll start getting in shape. For him, it's I can't put the fork down, dude. I go back to skin and bones in 2 weeks if I'm not eating and pumping weights constantly. So
Yeah. No, I am definitely I don't think the number on the scale means a lot until it's a huge number.
yeah.
But like there is something to be said for the way that like you look and like the way that like your balance is and the way you like kind of feel about yourself. All that stuff's like really important when it comes to it. Are your medical stuff, is it all healthy? Are your
Mhm.
numbers right? You know.
Yeah.
And then you have the other side of the spectrum that really just doesn't care what it looks like.
You know, I was talking
This
to a friend of mine not too long ago, and we like to joke around because we like our women a little curvy, a little thick around the edges. We're not ashamed of it. We encourage such things. Um, and he says to me, he goes, "Man, I'm gonna get me a fatty with a fatty and start making babies." And I was just like, "Hell yeah!" But when I see that video, I'm like, "That's not at all what we mean when we say these things."
they
So
spelled thick with a K. Like they know it
yeah,
now. They're just like, "Yep, YouTube needs to age restrict this stream. Let them try. Let them try."
they're like, "Hey,
Oh.
this is only appropriate for 9-year-old black lesbians." You're like, "What?" I don't even know what the rules are anymore. This stuff doesn't make sense.
Oh my goodness. No, not a single rule makes sense. There's plenty of Richard Simmons out there who will say, "Honey, you're beautiful. Honey, you're lovely. Let's work. Let's get it going." And they'll love you while you're big like that, but I will not. I will tell you that
No,
you're fat and tell you it's time to make a change, and the number on the
that
scale means something to you, trust me. Until that number
exactly.
becomes a smaller number, you should probably keep working at it.
You have a
Oh
valid point
God,
right there.
warn me. Oh my goodness.
Hey, now let's not drag German shepherds into this. They are a majestic beast of an animal. In
Oh
fact,
my
that
gosh.
just led me down another segue. Here's a little
Do it.
something personal your crowd might not know, but like other shows I go on would know this because they've heard it before. After like the Jurassic Park movies with Chris Pratt, while not that good, I will still redeem them over like 2 minutes from the entire film. I'll be like, but that 2 minutes was so awesome, I can live with the rest of the garbage in it. And when
Yeah.
Chris Pratt was riding through a jungle on a World War II looking motorcycle with his pack of velociraptors just running with him, keeping him pace and in tow, that visual to me was so awesome. I geeked my brain out on that and was like, that's it. The dream of always having an army of German shepherds has now all added up and made sense.
There you
Not
go.
only do I need a whole pack of German shepherds as my personal property guards, my purpose dogs, I also need a motorcycle so that when I ride through jungles, they can run with me. But
Yep.
yeah, I literally, that's one of my rich people dreams. Like if I'm ever wealthy, I'm gonna keep a steady flow of like 28 to 30 German shepherds at all time that are highly trained and answer only to German words because I feel like that's part of the aesthetic. You can't train them in English. That's stupid. They're German shepherds, and they're gonna be like my security. It's a security team that will never turn on you. You don't have to worry about them being corrupted by money or something else or stabbing you in the back. And I'm gonna park, three of them outside my daughter's windows and doors every night before they go to bed, and park them
God,
all around the house. And someday,
suitors don't stand a chance.
yeah, the wrong person comes walking up on my property, they're going to be met by 30 dogs that just want to do nothing but kill everything they see, but they're so well trained that they won't unless I say, do it, boys. Go get them.
Our neighbor has a German Shepherd. They got it for their kids as like a reward. I don't know exactly why, but like, in 2 years this thing is already, a full size German Shepherd. And it'll come over, it'll take a dump in our yard and stuff, and you go over, you're like, hey, dog took a dump, and then she sends the kids over and the kids pick it up. So it's like, it's not a big deal for me. Plus my thought is like, I want that dog to think my yard is his yard. So if
Yeah,
he takes a dump and the kids come clean it up, I'm okay, because when something happens, his 180-pound ass is going to be flying at whatever happens. And he is, it's crazy. We had a lot of deer in this area, and when you watch him go from this like 90, I think he's probably 90 pounds. Like he's big, but he's not like massive yet. So he's probably 90-pound, just giant fluff ball with like big ears, and he's all happy. And he's like, "What do you want to do? You want to run? I'll run around. Oh, this will be fun." And then he sees like a deer or like the neighborhood like mouse cats and stuff, and he just, all of the hair on his razorback goes backwards. You're like,
yeah.
"Whoa, you are terrifying." There's one kind of dog that I feared when I was doing delivery, and that was German Shepherds. With a subtle caveat to, there was one house on my route that had half husky, half wolves, and you just
Oh,
couldn't see
Lord.
them coming.
Yeah.
So you were like halfway to the house, and then you just noticed there were like 6 of them in the grass, and you're like, oh fuck. I'm gonna just leave it here and leave.
Yeah, and anytime I see like a horde of chow chows in someone's yard, I'm just like, brave people walk up to that house. I'm not one of those people. I will never, even if I ever have a reason to walk up to that house, I'm just gonna, whatever it is, I'm gonna figure out how to call these people, because there's no way I'm gonna even
Yeah.
take a chance around those things that look like a bunch of tiny
Little
bears.
bears.
Yeah.
No, those are. I had a neighbor with a chow, and it was. They had a chow and an Akita, so they had like the Japanese dog designed to protect the emperor, and the Chinese dog designed to protect the emperor, and like sweetest, loveliest things. Anytime you got invited over, they're just fluffy, squishy. They were great. But anytime you had some weird delivery guy or like the utility guy needed to get in the backyard, they were gonna tear that fence down, and aluminum chain link fence, like they're going to go right through it to get to that guy. It was just like, damn, like dogs are so cool.
They are. They're interesting. And here's my thing. Like, it's great that someone got like a German Shepherd for their kids, but like personally, I'll get like a French Bulldog or a Chihuahua. Like those are the dogs I already have. Those are for the kids. Little dogs that are really loyal, and they're generally pretty good. They don't really bite at the people they live with or anything, and they're just little love. They just want to be snuggled all the time. They're just little sweetie
Mhm.
pies. The German Shepherds will be my soldiers. They will not be my friend. They will not be my buddies. I will reward them when they do good, but
They will
I
earn
want
their
things
keep.
as a sole purpose for their existence is to answer to my protective whims when I tell them to run into battle head first with no fear of death. That's what I want. That's what those dogs will be.
The Serranos, the problem with pit bulls is they can't open their mouth very far because they come from the bull line. So they have a very strange jaw shape. So as like much as they get like the bad rap and all of that, like when you're making deliveries, the dog you're scared of is the dog that's mouth can open up and rip out your throat, not the dog that might like kind of catch a tooth on your thigh as it runs past you. Like pit bulls are they have their own issues and concerns, but like when it comes to dogs that I'm worried about, nothing in the bull family, mastiffs, anything like that. They can't bite you. You'll be fine.
Just hit them in
There's,
the nose,
yeah,
like
they've
literally, they'll
already
run
taken a few
right
hits
off.
to the nose.
Actually, that's nearly every animal. If you just go after its nose and it's got a hold of you, it'll pretty much let go of you pretty quick. 'Cause there's not
Yeah.
one thing on this planet that likes getting its nose hit. It's just insta pain.
I'm convinced that the shark thing is a meme, and it's a meme because that's what we do with dogs if you don't want the dog to bite at you. I still don't really believe that you punch a shark in the nose, but it's hilarious, so I kind of hope it is true.
I think getting a good enough swing to be effective underwater is where I would be concerned because it's just like
Yeah.
baby patting it. If I had a blade or something, sure, I'll go right for the nose. But yeah, if I'm trying to slow motion fist bump this thing in the face, I think the shark's probably going to win that battle. There's a reason
Yeah.
I don't like to go in the ocean. Like, I love going in the ocean, but it makes me really nervous. But I still always go in. It hypnotizes me, and I hate it. I'm like, okay, good chance at any given time a shark can get you. I know it's rare, but this is their kitchen and it is their backyard. So where are all the other people at? I'm going to migrate towards all those people. And hopefully, if a shark comes around, it grabs one of them first, gives me a chance to be tuned into the situation to get back out of the water as quickly as possible. Like I've had plans for this stuff because first I went
Smart.
into the ocean all the time with no regard. And then like the older I got, the more I was like saw videos of sharks or barracudas just like ripping somebody's guts out and was like, you know what? This ocean thing isn't so interesting anymore. Makes me a little bit nervous.
Right? Like, I just hate going into our ocean because Puget Sound is full of milfoil. And that's not milf oil, it's milfoil. It's sort of this weird seaweed plant that's just nasty and like grabs onto you and won't let go. So it's just gross to swim in.
Yeah.
But I've got a cousin that is like he watches Jaws and roots for the shark. He's like, I want to go on a shark like cage thing, but then I'm not gonna be in the cage. I'm just gonna be out with the sharks. I'm like, why? Why would you do that? That sounds terrifying. That sounds awful.
Yeah,
That sounds really dumb.
it's a weird interest some people have that like I think you just have to be in their brain to get it. You know what I mean? It's
Mm,
kind of like there's things between men and women where neither side will ever quite comprehend what the other's trying to tell them from experience. They'll understand from hearing it and they'll go, okay, I get what you're saying and I can empathize or sympathize, but I don't know it from literally being a man because I'm a woman and it's just not possible or something like that. It's the same way with
yeah.
stuff like that. Like I've had a few friends that just couldn't wait to get in water with sharks, and I'm like, all right, like I don't get it. I'm not going to give you hell about a stupid
Yeah.
idea, but just know if something bad happens, I'm going to laugh at you. You're not getting any sympathy here.
I'm gonna sit here and either be like, wow, that was really fun, or told you so.
Yeah.
There's no skin off my back either way. So to the chat, I guess. I grew up in a very bad neighborhood. My neighbors had pits on a lot of sides. That's kind of why one of our neighbors got the chows and the
Hey,
Akita.
I'll be right back.
Yeah, go ahead. Got the chows and the Akita because it was kind of a very rough neighborhood, we'll say. And when a pit comes up and is growling and makes a lunge at you and you whack it in the nose, it runs away. It goes home. It stops chasing you. If it doesn't quite get around like your leg, it doesn't quite get around your arm. Even if it does, you whack it, it still goes back home. German Shepherds don't. They just don't. When they're coming for you and you whack it and you knock it away, it comes back. And it keeps coming back until it's done coming back, until it's either called off or whatever happens. Whereas like pits don't have that loyalty thing. It just doesn't really exist in them in the same way that it does with like a well-trained, even a golden retriever. I've seen golden retrievers take out mailmen, where pits are just a tap and they run away because they're not worried about it. They do have that like physiological thing where like a pit bull comes from the pit bull fights where they would latch onto the bull's nose and try to hold on for as long as possible, so they have very, very strong like holding muscles, but they're not very loyal, and they will run away where many other things won't.
Well, dogs are very much like you can track why they were bred the way they were backwards,
Oh yeah.
and like loyalty is something that's like it's genetically ingrained into certain breeds at this. It's like the sheepdogs. You don't have to train a sheepdog any longer. A farmer trained thousands of them and kept breeding them for so long that now they just know how to come out doing it.
It's
So
so crazy.
yeah,
I had the janitor at my elementary school had a border collie that he would talk to, and it would do stuff. He would be like, go around that tree 3 times, that tree 2 times, come back and sit down. And the dog would go out 3 times around, 2 times around, come back and sit down. And you're like, fuck does your dog know English? This doesn't make sense, because you're like, a 6-year-old or whatever, or
yeah,
however old you are in elementary school, but you're like, damn, that's the coolest thing I've ever seen.
it is. It's interesting. There's a reason dogs are man's best friend and all that kind of stuff. They're just an
Hmm.
animal with a lot of good traits that I don't know. Us humans just relate to them for some reason.
Yeah, meanwhile, my cat won't even come over and acknowledge me. He just goes from laying on the bed to going and shitting in a box and then going back to laying on the bed.
Oh, fuck cats. They're useless. I used to love cats. At one point, I had like 4 or 5 of them, and like as the years when it's when I had kids. Once I had kids, I started hating animals. So like once, and the frustrating part is too, like all of our cats just would live forever. I'm like, why don't you die like normal other people? Like they'll lose a cat like once every 10 years. Like
Hmm.
it's been 17 years. Die already. You seem perfectly healthy like the day I got you. I don't understand this. Like I'm not doing anything special with you all. I just feed you and give you water. I mean, granted, I always buy my animals like high protein, like good food, no filler type stuff. So like yeah, I feed all my pets well because I don't want them eating garbage all the time. But
Yeah.
at the same time, I don't care about them. I don't know how to explain it. Like I care about them. I still give them love and attention because they're there. But deep down in my heart, if one of them dies, I literally don't care. I've had one dog I cared about when she passed, and I think that's part of it too. I was like, "You were the greatest dog I ever had in my entire life. This hurts.
Yeah.
Nothing will live up to you. There will never be another animal I'll own as good as you, and there never was. I've never looked at any other dog we've had or anything with love. They're just an animal. They're there. The kids and mom pressured me into it. They wouldn't be here otherwise. And the sooner they're gone, the better. I have zero outside of my German Shepherd army. I want someday zero
That's
interest
different
in
though.
like
That's like hiring an
animals in my
employee.
house. Yeah, yeah. I just don't. They ruin everything. Like they screw up everything they touch, no matter what you do or how well you try to train them or get them to understand things. Like I don't like animals anymore.
Funny.
I don't know, it's strange. Considering how different I was like 20 years ago, I would have never
Yeah.
imagined
It's
myself
definitely a new thing
as a
for you.
40-year-old being like, fuck every animal on planet Earth. I don't care what happens to any of them. But it's just where I'm at now. I just don't have any interest in feeding and taking care of any more living creatures than the ones I'm really worried about, which are my wife and kids. If it's an animal, they don't hold any rank whatsoever in comparison.
Yeah.
So
You've
when
got a
people
you've
are
got a
like, I love,
priority scale.
yeah, when people are like, I love my dog more than most people, I'm like, fair, but you're clearly around the wrong people, and that's a very strange point to get to in your life, where you think a dog's life is more important than the average human, like the average harmless, decent human. Like I can't wrap my brain around that because I don't know. Like I said, if one of my 2 dogs right now, they're cute, they're sweet, they're little, but if one of them died tomorrow, I'd be like, well, time to go dig a hole in the backyard. Let's get this over with because I don't feel like digging a hole. Like that's where my brain would
Yeah.
go.
Well, and I think that goes along with it too, where it's like when I was a kid and I had a cat that was like a cat I picked out as a kitten, and it like definitely attached to me. It would like sleep on my bed every night, like right on my pillow. Like it was like this weird creature when you think about it that would just be next to me at all times, and you lose that and you're like, man, that really hurts. But then now it's like, I've got a wife, you've got kids. You got other stuff that's like more important in your life than the animal, and it's like, yes, I love my cat. Like he's adorable, he's sweet, and he's a little rag doll, basically, a little Siamese rag doll. So he's
Yeah.
the most adorable thing ever. But like on the list of trolley problem things I'd pull the lever for, there's people that would come in front of him on the list of things that I would not run over with the trolley, right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
If you love animals more than people, you need to talk to your dad. Wow, that's really insensitive to a good chunk of the population.
Well, we know at least 48% of the country's borderline mentally ill, so yeah, a lot of people
Is
without
that
dads,
all?
unfortunately, they don't have anyone to go talk to.
Oh
That
my
or they
goodness.
hate their dads because their dad's like, you should fix AC units instead of trying to be a voice actor. It's like your dad's just looking out for you. Like, don't get bent out of shape. You can still try to be a voice actor. Don't hate them
But
for
you
being
should also
normal.
learn to fix AC units because when it breaks, you can fix it.
Yeah, and if the voice acting gigs ain't going so well, you can literally make like 2 or 3K a paycheck fixing AC units. It's
Dude,
not. It's a good trade.
I was talking to a guy who I used to work with him, and then he left, and he left gunsmithing to get into HVAC, and I was like, okay, how's it going? And he was like, insane. The amount of money people pay to fix their HVAC systems blows your mind. And like he wasn't just like, "Oh, I'm the Bubba Gump replacing a barrel on an AR or, installing the sights that you just purchased." Like he was like a fully trained, like went to school gunsmith who was doing like custom work at the shop that I worked at, right? So we're talking I think we charged customers somewhere around like 150 an hour for his labor, and I think he was taking probably 60% of that, maybe more. Um so he wasn't making like chump change as like a gunsmith, right? He was making decent money, but he's like, I just did a 4-hour job this weekend where I fixed some garage AC unit, 5K for the 2 days. What the hell? But then you think
Yeah.
about it and you're like, when I'm miserable, when my system doesn't work, you take all of the money. You take whatever it takes to make my heating work or make my AC work, and you make that shit work because I will not be uncomfortable. There's a lot more people that have that thought process than necessarily want like really cool, interesting gun work done. So
Yes.
it
Yes.
makes sense when you think about it, but at the same time, it's always like, man, that's crazy to me.
Well, there are some gigs in the world where even if it's not like the most fulfilling work, the money is so good you don't care. And then there's other gigs where they are fulfilling, but the money just doesn't justify the time and the effort and everything else you have to put into it. And
Mm-hmm.
you just got to decide what's best for you, especially if you've got a family. Then you're definitely in a situation where you're looking at all of these things a tad different than if you're like a single guy living in an apartment or something where you literally can be totally happy with a cushion on the floor and a flat screen and one blanket and one plate
Yeah,
and one bowl. You're like, yes, this is the good life. But yeah, it's just different for everybody, I suppose. But I mean, I ran in this battle my whole life from wanting to draw comics. I was stubborn and young and wouldn't even. I would put zero effort into trying like much of the other trades. So it's just like, no, I'm wasting my time. I already know what I want to do, and any minute I'm not doing that, I'm wasting time on something else.
yeah,
But as an adult and in hindsight, I see the advantages of that stuff, and I also accept you're never going to get through to people under the age of 28, depending on their mindset and how driven they are on things, which is fine too. I appreciate driven people, so I don't really argue with them too much. I'm like, so your life's going to be a little rough. They're like, yes. I'm like, and you're fine with that. They're like, yeah. I'm like, well, great. That's all you got to
yep,
understand. That's why adults say certain things, is because they don't want you being miserable when you're young. But if you're fine
true.
with it, who cares?
Yeah, if somebody is less than 20 and they're talking about how they want to be a thing for more than 1 year in their life. The example I always go to is like my sister, when we were, 6 and 4 or whatever age we were, and we would be like home and we'd watch Matlock, because like my mom liked Matlock. And my sister liked Matlock because it was like this weird, like, oh, we got to solve a problem. And it just stuck with her. And she was like, I want to be a lawyer. And then the next year it'd be like, okay, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a lawyer. And like she wanted to be a lawyer since she was like a wee baby, and
Yeah.
just stuck with it. And you're like, okay, it's going to be really expensive for school. You're going to have all this debt, blah, blah, blah. She's like, I want to be a lawyer. Like all of that stuff was never like the issue. And even today, like she's not like a lawyer in like a big firm making good cash, right? Like she's successful, but she works for like a nonprofit. She's doing stuff that's not really like the high paying, I'm a cool guy lawyer kind of crap, right? Like she's doing the little guy stuff, because like she's just like, I wanted to be a lawyer because I want to represent people and I want to make sure that like the rules are being followed the way they're supposed to be followed. And I can attest that she is a rule follower or a making sure you're following the rules kind of person. But when someone's less than 20 and they're saying that for more than 1 year and they're stuck to it, let them do it. Let them do it. Let them go for it. Because the worst thing that happens is that they come to like my age and they're like, yeah, you know what? I'm 32 here in a month, or not even a month. I'm 32 in just 6 days. And if I feel like right now, if I wanted to completely switch gears and do something completely different, I could. I could just swap. Whereas like when you're little and you're thinking about the future, you're like, 30, I better have like a well-paying job career that I'm going to be at for the next 50 years. And like, it's just weird. It's just weird that we think that way.
Yeah.
But speaking of, we can't have you on and talking about stuff without bringing up where you're at. 56,844. You are just $156 away. $156. That is 2 of the color line art manga 3-pack. Doing a 3-pack, so you get all styles. That is 10 or 9 manga editions. 30 hardcover, $30 for the hardcover. We got 5 of those. We crossed that threshold. So we got plenty of options.
Yep.
If you want to pick up Death from Joe Ball, the guy that said, I want to be a comic book artist and just kept being a comic book artist. I'm sure there were other stuff you did in your life where you were like, hey, I got to pay a bill, so I'm going to do this, but I'm also going to draw and I'm going to keep drawing.
For sure. Yeah.
And it shows. It shows that you never stop drawing.
Yeah, I was always still doing other jobs at the same time. Like, I don't know, I'd say through most of my 20s. I was definitely always still drawing pictures, trying to make any money there, doing graphic design work, any money there once, like I got my Photoshop skills up to par. And I was generally working at a restaurant too, or working at a hardware store, or managing some little rink-dink thing in the town I live in. So, yeah, I've done a lot of odd jobs over the years, but at the same time, it's like all typical stuff most young people have done at some point in their life, And I've learned something at all of them. It was never bad. Like, yeah, it sucked in the moment, but I've walked away from every, even if it was a restaurant job, with a lot of really good skills that I've still used to this day. So,
well, that's the most important part, is like all of those little experiences, right? That's what makes somebody like a good storyteller versus just like, oh, I want to tell this story, is having the actual real life interactions with people. And you can see, like, you could feel it. It's weird. It's hard to quantify, but you'll watch something and you'll be like, this person's never talked to another human being, it seems, because of the way that they write dialogue, or, or this, that, and the other thing. Whereas like someone who's literally been on that line and had to talk with people who hate everything they're doing for that day knows how to write that guy that hates everything they're doing that day.
Yeah.
And yes, Kitty Bear, that is your whole food budget. That's that dollar amount is about half a month of food budget, because there's 2 of us in this house. So I mean, it's one of those things like, Individually, things may be big dollars, but together, we make that big dollar a small dollar, right? 1,000 people give
Right.
you $1, now you got $1,000 versus one person give you $1,000. So that's the beauty of the Indiegogos, of the crowdsourcing, is we can use the giant audiences that collectively we have to sort of reward things that we like and not fund things we don't like. It kind of goes both ways.
Yep, it's the backers. I know there's only one way to get something backed, and it's through backers. And
Hmm.
despite that literalness, you still feel like this weird special appreciation for somebody taking their hard-earned dollar and handing it to you in good faith that a product's going to get to them how, when, and exactly the time it should. So
Yep.
it's flattering. Like I don't know. I think people that have been doing it for a while, maybe they don't put that level of thought into it anymore because now it's just too common for them. But yeah, for me at least, like it still blows my mind. Like I've watched people spend money on services, and at every job I've ever had, didn't surprise me. I'm like, yeah, it's food. You got to eat. Of course, people are going to spend
Yeah.
money on food. Yeah, they're going to spend money on their HVAC. They need their AC. They need their heat. But when it's entertainment, and I know entertainment usually thrives during good and bad times. Um, Generally, with entertainment, there's so much of it, and so many people has different opinions on what they actually will pay for. That yeah, it's a really good feeling when you see that money coming your way. Like I've entered that
Oh,
realm now
exactly. Yeah.
where people want me to entertain them with the thing I make. So it's a big deal. It sounds small, but it's a big thing to reach a lot of eyes and a lot of people and know that they, at least in the moment, whether they're excited or whether they were just taking, Blaine or Ricada or Yellow Flash's word for it, which is good enough. Um, I'll take it however I can get it. However I get
Exactly.
the backers, zero complaints. I'm a simple, simple man. So,
It's one of those things that, like, doing real estate, especially, this was like the big thing. They're like, any room, 3% of the room is ready to buy now. That's always a thing. So you want to throw an event, you want to get 100 people in there, so you can have 3 people that are ready to buy now, ready to sign up
yep.
now, ready to do something now. And it's like, with the way that the internet works now, that changes, because you can, instead of saying, "Oh, I have to show this to 100 people in order to get 3 people to sign up," you can be like, "This is the kind of thing I'm sending out into the world, so I'm going to go to the people where those 3% of the people that are already ready to sign up are already hanging out." And
Mhm.
and it's very interesting, and I've yet to see any new sort of strategy, like marketing, sales, anything like that, that sort of embraces that idea that Google, YouTube, Twitter are sort of already using, where it's like, oh, we know who's ready to buy now.
Mhm.
We haven't seen that trickle down into the actual, like, I'm the guy who's just trying to sell my house, or I'm the guy that's just selling my comic book. Like, we haven't seen that marketing strategy really hit those people yet. But we kind of do with, like, the Comicsgate stuff, where if you're going on to one of these streams, like, there is a much higher chance of someone in those streams uh, that are interested, or already kind of want to back projects like that, who are looking for it, right? It may be 3% if you had 100 random people, but if you have 20 people that are all watching a comic book themed live stream, maybe 50% of those people are looking for something more like you're interested in. So I love seeing those numbers go up. I love seeing just the direct reward of, like, oh yeah, people actually do like the way this looks. I want to see it. And it's like, we live in a world where that means dollar sign. We know people are interested because that dollar sign keeps going up.
Yeah, yeah. And we are in a blessed golden age for print materials, especially from the indies. Kind of like in the late 80s and the early 90s, we had that boom where everyone got interested in the indies, so the corporations just ripped off the indies. grunge
Hmm.
got huge, and magically you would go into Sears and all the mannequins would have like Kurt Cobain outfits on. Like the corporates realized that they don't do it now because they're still too egotistical and caught up in their political ideals to just realize that it's not working. Like they're just going to keep taking losses and just writing it off and using
Yeah.
that as an excuse. Oh, we can write it off. Who cares? It's like, yeah, but you're not winning. Before you said, hey, look what these little guys are doing. It's working. Let's copycat it till we've ran it into the ground and nobody wants it. And we're lucky. We're not getting that this time. It's just corporate wants nothing to do with us. We're fine with that because we want nothing to do with them. And people are showing up for us. So and it's inexpensive to print now. Like, yeah, some things are expensive no matter what, but it's a field anyone can jump into right now. It's never been
Economy
this
of scale,
this
man.
easy to do. Yeah.
It's more direct there than a lot of other things. Like maybe toys would have better economy of scale, but like same thing with print. Like it's all the shipping cost,
Yeah, yeah.
You can fill that container, then all the better.
I will say though, even like crowdfunded comics, that 3% number was more accurate. Like back in like I'd say like 2012 to 14, like getting $8,000 was like a big deal. Like if you were an unheard of talent, like people would brag about reaching 8K, like it was just some crazy milestone. And we look backwards at that now. And while it's still a good number, especially if it's your first time, um, it's not like no one gets excited about that now. No one's like, oh man, I'm almost to 8K. It's like, oh sweet, I made it to 8K. But you don't get,
Yeah.
you don't jump, do backflips over it. So it's a weird age where it's like people are interested. They're gonna look. We don't have the problem of that 3% now because, like you said, there's so many people seeking out this content on YouTube and other places that now I'd say it's closer to like if you're a former pro or something and you already have like notoriety in the world, yeah, your numbers are going to be better. But even if you're brand new and nobody knows who you are, you've still got like 10%, 7 to 10% out of 100 people. So 7 to 15 for every 100, you've got a good chance of getting a backer. That's a pretty big increase from 3. Like
Yeah.
that's solid. If this was any other industry, going from 3% being the norm to being able to hold steady at 7%, even if you're at the bottom, and now being able to hold steady at 10 to 15% if you just get a little bit of attention, a tiny amount.
Yeah. Yeah. If
So
you told me
it's
10 to 15%, back when I was cold calling people for houses, I would probably still be selling people houses.
exactly.
It's insane to think that you can hit that kind of people with the right audience.
People would be surprised that don't know much about this stuff in any kind of sales, how difficult it is to promote and sell things historically, no matter how good periods were. Like that's always been the number one thing is like you can browbeat people, but you might annoy them away. You can keep like there's all these strategies that like, yeah, they work, but not for every single thing or every single product or it's tough. I've yet to see where someone that's got like a perfect timeless system. Usually every system is based off of adjustments for the age you're living in. So
Definitely.
yeah, it's an
Definitely.
art all unto itself. But anime Matsuri, my dude, like
yeah, I was I was like, how do I transition this? Speaking of places where everybody wants to open their wallets and buy anime related things, tell me about it. Was this have you been to conventions before?
yeah. I'll put it to you this way. Like I did them from like 2000, probably year 2000 all the way to 2015ish off and maybe a few after that. So give
Okay.
or take 15 to 18 years I was kind of a regular. At
Now,
least locally.
specifically anime conventions or just kind of any convention in the area?
comic book, pop culture, or maybe horror. Anime didn't really start getting notable conventions in my area. Like they existed for sure in the big cities. They'd been already been happening for 20 years. But where I was at, you didn't see too much of that till around 2015. So right about the time I was phasing out was when that stuff
Hmm.
was re-picking up steam. It's like it had that late 90s steam, then it cooled back down for a little bit, and then it just started re-exploding around like 2012. And you just see anime conventions slowly taking over in terms of appeal and the mass amount of people and the shock of being like, man, a lot of people love this stuff. It's not getting the
Yeah.
credit for what it deserves because people show up and they spend money. But so I'd been out of the loop for nearly 10 years on conventions because I just got sick of doing it. Like it's really not that fun for me.
Hmm.
Um, After that many years of it, like the charm and appeal wears off by like your third show because you've already met every guy you would want to meet or comic creator that you had a dream of meeting, and quickly you just see them so much where they're just people to you now. They're not really
Yeah.
special. It's like I've talked to him like 100 times. He's just some tard like me that draws pictures. He's not special. Even if the guy's like a 30-year veteran of the business, drawing some of the most notable comics ever, they get normalized to you. So it's not it's not as big a deal as it once was. But going to this was like kind of like getting back on a bicycle after not being on one for 20 years or something. You know, like, yeah, it's going to take me a few minutes to kind of get back in the groove here, but it's not that hard. So,
Oh, that's funny.
yeah, it was just getting back in the groove, getting up to date with what the scene was like and what's going on at anime in 2022. Like what's happening at these conventions right now in current year. And I thought that part was good. Like I felt good about knowing and having some knowledge of having my finger on the pulse a little bit, I guess you could say. I was like, this is good for me. You know, I needed to do this. I needed to get my feet dirty again here because I've been away from this for too long, hiding in my hole in the basement, drawing pictures all night.
Right.
It's time to get amongst the people and raise some hell once again. So yeah, it was exciting.
There you go. That's kind of hilarious. My one of my first well, actually probably my first anime convention was 2006 SakuraCon.
Yeah,
And this was back when SakuraCon had less than 10,000 people. They had just moved to the Washington State Convention Center from like a hotel. So glomps were a thing, the yaoi paddle was a thing, like all of the stuff that people today cancel people over was happening at the conventions, right?
it was
Uh,
100% normal and just part of the fun.
it was like, whoa, we all like the same thing. I guess we're all very friendly now.
Yeah, yeah,
uh, so I went to conventions back then, and then I started going to conventions again back in 2014. And I feel that because I went to all three. So we would do PAX, which is the video game convention. We would do Emerald City Comic Con, which is the comics convention, and then SakuraCon, which is the anime convention. And you hit this point for me. It started with PAX actually, which surprised me, where it became like, oh, these are just all the games that I've already seen announcements for, and I'm not that excited. And the people that I was like, oh, hey, I want to meet that guy. Like, I've met them enough that I can just join them at the after party later if it's important to me. And
yeah.
then it was Emerald City, where it was like, yeah, I don't know that I need a giant Wacom advertisement every year. I don't know that that's really my deal. And then specifically when you're going to all three in the same city, you see the same people in Artist Alley each time.
Yeah.
And I much prefer the work they're putting out when they're at the anime convention. So we still do the anime conventions in the area, the Jet City and the SakuraCon and that kind of stuff. Because I enjoy that, but I definitely feel you there where you're like, oh, I've kind of seen all the things that I wanted to see, and now it's just purely my interest in anime that keeps me going back to
You
the
go,
anime
you
convention.
start to go to shop after a while.
Yeah,
You know, I know
I
that
go to
sounds
shop,
silly to some people, but I'm really there just looking for certain things usually.
and the discounts at the after parties, that
Yeah.
free entrance with your badge, sign me up. That's
Well, dude,
usually
and
my
Sundays rule at conventions because people just want to offload as much as humanly possible the last hour and a half. So
hmm
if you're smart and you're not there for something that's in small quantities or some con exclusive, you're just there
Yep.
as a general collector looking for anything maybe you don't have or that's new, or if you're not like dead set on one specific thing that's only at that show.
Yeah.
You can wait till Sunday and till it's everything's wrapping up almost and start offering people like 60 and 80 bucks for just $500 worth of stuff, and they're like, whatever, take it, because they're so sick of the thought of hauling more things out of there is just making them want to puke, and they do not care anymore. So I
Exactly.
made
It's
out
all
so
shipping.
yeah, I made out so good at conventions for a long time because I would just buy entire tables of stuff off of people for like $120 that I'd never get that for ever. It was only in these weird circumstances, and man, I loved it for a while. Now I hate
No, that.
stuff and I throw everything in the trash. So then,
I hate stuff, but I want to know what people are buying so I can see what's up.
yeah. But the
Oh
show was
man.
it was a lot of fun, man. There was I mean it was a massive convention center. Like I didn't know this prior. But once you get to places, people start running like factoids by you and stuff that live in the area. And they were
hmm
telling me like, yeah, man, this is the third biggest convention center in like North America, and all these little things where I was like, I believe it. This place is like 4 or 5 blocks long. Like I look outside and I see the blocks with skyscrapers on them, all from this convention center. No matter how far I walk in it, it just never ends,
Jeez.
and it's like 3 and 4 stories tall. They had every floor had something on it. Um, it was just, and it made everything a chore. Like every time I wanted to smoke a cigarette, I was like, I'll be as fast as I can, dude. But it's going to take like 15 minutes just to get outside,
I got an
So,
Uber to the little smoking tent.
yeah. But
uh,
Houston was very cool. I liked the city a lot, just in terms of like the hospitality and the customer service was incredible. Because there's tons of jobs around where I live, but nobody wants them.
mm,
So it's not so much that service is bad as much as like every restaurant, every store is just like fighting to keep employees. So they're gonna A, take whoever they can get, and B, always be understaffed. So it's always just a few dedicated people just working themselves to death to keep up with the flow of the rest of the world still wanting its McDonald's and things like that. And
exactly.
so you have a little sympathy for them. It's not bad service technically. It's just they're struggling. They're doing the best they can right now
It's a struggle
until
service.
people want to work again. But in Houston, man, there could be like a job that max most places would be like 1 or 2 people can handle this efficiently. And you'd have like 6 people doing that one job, just waiting to run over to your table or to do something. And they all look so happy to be at work. I was like, I've never seen a place where everyone just looks so jacked to be at work. They're smiling, they're happy. It doesn't seem fake or disingenuous. They're like, yeah, man, I get to pour orange juice in glasses all day. It rules. Like, I got a job. I make 16 bucks an hour just refilling a coffee because there's another person that will
Awesome.
just do juice. It's like they break the jobs down so much that everyone just has this one little thing to focus on. So they can do that one little thing super well. And everyone was like ready to make you happy. I just hadn't experienced that in years, where everywhere you went, if you looked around for 1 second as if you weren't sure about something, just like, huh, I wonder where I'm at. Literally, a person would be like, hey, you need some help, man? Where are you trying to get? You tell them. They would literally walk or lead you to the spot perfect every time. You never felt like you're in danger or anything. Like random people everywhere just were so happy to be helpful. And I was like,
Oh,
this is
that's
the
hilarious.
weirdest thing ever. How, because it wasn't Southern hospitality. It wasn't like Georgia or Louisiana. It was a
Okay.
different kind of. It was just different.
Just
It was
help.
seeing it was a melting pot too. So you saw people from every single place you could think of. You heard every accent you could think of, and there was not the disjointed infighting like you see in some places with like a lot of multiculturalism, but it's a lot of
hmm
poor people that are stuck in rough conditions, so they're at each other's throats. This was multiculturalism, but everyone's got a job, everyone's making money, everyone's happy. It was, it's obvious when everyone's happy, they got no reason to
To
find
be
things
upset.
to be mad at each other about. Yeah, so it was
Yeah.
good to see. It just reminds you how stable America actually is when the
Happy people
pot's not
help
being
people.
stirred by weirdos. Yeah. So I loved it. It was refreshing. It was like seeing a little bit of Americana again, but it was the whole
Yeah.
world all participating in the American dream, and you didn't feel a negative thought about any of it. It's like, hell yeah, look at all these people so happy to just be here. This is great. I can relate to this. So
Amazing.
con was fun though, man. Like I'll tell you that this isn't a brag thing. This is just like I was personally shocked. So sometimes when people ask me about the con, I got to give them like the context of this is not a brag. It was just surprising to me, and I can't help but say it. Me and Shane, my business partner, the first day of the show, Thursday, there was nothing happening because I had the show was really behind. So none of the floor tables, nothing was set up. They're still trying to build like their custom props for certain guests. Kind of a disjointed mess, but it was whatever. So a lot of people showed up and just kind of wandered
It was
around.
whatever. I think you mean it was the worst con of all time where everyone's going to get touched in their panties. At least that's
No,
what Twitter said.
Twitter's out of their mind. There
Have you
was
seen this stuff? People are like, "Oh yeah, they aren't like on time. They aren't ready." I was like, "Have you been to a convention ever?" Like,
It was a 3 floor convention. Each floor was 4 blocks long. It was huge.
I
I've
was
been to some of the
laughing.
biggest conventions in America, and this thing was bigger than all of them. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I've been to some of the biggest shows in Chicago and Dallas and, wherever, all over Philadelphia. And this thing completely dwarfed what was considered massive in like 2015. So it was a chore, and no one really held it against them. We knew what the deal was, but
Yeah. But at
we
least they got your name right. Yellow Flash 2.
well, I got lucky that like just walking around to get our bearings because I was like, okay, we got a free day, so let's be efficient. We'll get to know the layout of this building, where everything's at. It's connected to multiple hotels. These are also places you have to navigate for one reason or the other. Let's just get everything in place so when we wake up tomorrow morning, quick, easy setup. Get in there, get going, get set up, and just have a little relief. And we were probably at the convention center for all of 10 or 15 minutes before like 3 guys were like, "Is that Joe Ball?" Like I'd hear someone yell from like 30 feet back and start looking around like, are they yelling at someone else or is this me? And
Oh
yeah,
my
you can even
goodness.
ask Lofty. Like we hadn't even been there for a half an hour yet, and there were 3 people just following us everywhere we went, chattering and going on and being excited, and it just progressed that way more and more as time went on the entire weekend. And told Anna this last night. I said, she was like, "What was your favorite thing about it?" I said, "I never had to light my own cigarette. That is luxury. That is
Oh,
living that big dog life. When you go to put a cigarette up to your mouth, and before it even quite reaches your lips, there's 3 lighters in the air for you." I was like, this is the greatest thing ever. I never have to ask for a drink. I never have to walk to a bar and wait for 45 minutes to get a bartender's attention in a crowd. People just hand me drinks. They light my cigarettes. Some cases, they just give me cigarettes and they light them. It's
there you
amazing.
go.
So I was like, these people get me. They know how I'm simple, like little things that make me happy. And the attention was just nice. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It was just nice to get recognized and get attention from such a broad group of people that you didn't expect it from, and meet new people that then afterwards got excited because then they went and fiddled with their phones and figured out who I was and started buying, the little death mini books I had, and
Yeah.
it all added up to be great. There was some, how do I say this and not sound mean? I guess I already ruined it by saying that part out loud. When you put things like interesting in quotation marks, like, yeah, he was an interesting guy, and you do like finger quotes.
Yeah.
There was a little
Yeah,
bit
in
of
a way.
that too, which is normal. It's not like I've never been to a convention and met some people that just they're just a little different. They're socially awkward. It is what it is, though. They need to keep going to cons to get better at it.
They got to
Um,
keep practicing. That's why I
yeah,
always have a conversation because at the end of the day, I may be their only conversation that day.
yeah.
They got to practice, and I'll be there for them.
Well, you don't want them to think you have some kind of problem with them. It's just everyone's a stranger
Yep.
initially. So it takes a few minutes to get comfortable unless it's somebody you literally already know. But yeah, there were
Well,
some
I'll
interesting
take your
people.
word
Sure.
for it because White Chocolate has their DMs closed, so I can't ask him.
Well, I think he's back open now. You can check it out. He's out of the he's came out of Twitter purgatory, so
Came
he's
out of the
accessible again.
Twitter closet. Anyway,
Yeah, I mean,
I believe you because I know that exact feeling. Even not being somebody with any sort of like large following, um, even back when we were doing like travel videos where we just post videos of our trips to Japan
yeah,
and then talk about it and stuff like that, you'd still have people who are like, oh wow, that was really good, because you'd meet them, you'd talk to them, and then you'd give them like your YouTube handle, or you'd have like a fucking like a little business card with like QR code, so you could just watch a video and then come back later and like, wow, that was really good, that we're planning a trip in 2 years, and that was really helpful, and they like gave you something, you're like, whoa, I helped somebody plan a trip and they were grateful enough to like do something nice for me. Like this is kind of a strange feeling, and you know it is a weird like uh what is the what would the
when
term
you
be?
do things with like little to no expectation of
Yeah.
anything back out of it on that level, like yeah, you expect a view because that's why you made a video, or you expect a
Yeah.
click. That's why you made, that's part of it. You want people to watch it, or you wouldn't bother making it, even if it
Hmm.
takes a while to get there. But yeah, when it's something that's like literal kindness being returned, and that wasn't even in your thought process at all of being a thing that would happen, yeah, it feels good. It makes it reminds you there's way more like normal people out there that are just not part of the internet.
Yeah.
When you realize like
100%.
Twitter's like 3 million Americans, and then you're like, but there's 350 million of us in this country. Like they really don't represent much of anybody in a big way. They represent niche, small amounts of other people. So it just feels good when you
Yeah.
get the good old, hey, there's still lots of normies out there. Thank God for them.
Definitely. Definitely. And they're also just more open. Like when you're in that setting, it's such a weird thing to explain to somebody who's never been in it. But when you're in a setting where there's a group of people and you all have one shared common interest, and then you connect with someone on some other interest that you also have, um, about half of those 3 million are probably bots.
Yeah.
Exactly. But you move from I'm here at an anime convention. And for someone like me who like watches only anime, right?
Mhm.
Yes, manga is a thing that I'm aware of. I've read manga before. I sometimes read some panels, but anime is my thing. And then you're like, oh, you also do comic books, or you also do Japan travel, right? Like
Mhm.
these things that are like adjacent. You connect to someone on that, you're way more open to talking about those things that are like, oh, you like anime. Next question, what else are you into? What else do you do? How else do you do? What are you into? No one asks you, oh, what do you do for work? I fucking hate that question. I hate it so much. I hate the like, oh, what do you do for work? Because it's such a, like I get to talk about how like I talk about anime every night because I count this as work. You can talk about drawing comic books, but for a lot of people, it's like, oh, I work at job. That's not who I am though. That most people
Yeah. Yeah.
work a job that just is like most of my life I've worked jobs where it was like, oh, I am salesman, but like salesman isn't who I am, right? So I
Yeah.
always hate that question. And you
Yeah.
move past that question at conventions.
I kind of feel that too. Like it's one of those things where obviously like we're both tactful people to some degree around others, so even if we don't care for it, we're just going to go with the flow to be polite. to this
Mhm.
person we're meeting. Because usually
You
the
never
people
know what'll
asking,
be interesting about it, you know?
yeah,
You
yeah,
could have something where you're like, I don't care about this. And then they say something, you're like, oh shit, I 100% care about whatever's about to come out of your mouth.
you humor them whether you care or not, and sometimes it pays off.
Exactly.
And yeah, we had Nick was getting this a little bit, and he was kind of dumping it off onto me because we're 4 feet from each other pretty much
Hmm.
the entire time, and he was getting it'll come up on his show occasionally, but not that much really, like being a father or raising a family or that kind of like nuclear family thing that's coming back where people want to they're like, how do I do this, how do I get in this, because they're a lot of kids from divorced homes and everything else, and they're still
They
decent
don't have a
people, but
model.
it's yeah, they don't know where to start. And for us that were raised with that model, we don't understand how you don't understand, and we're not even always sure how to explain it in a way that will make
Oh,
sense if you
exactly.
don't know to begin with, if you don't even have a base to get the ideas from or to start from. And Nick was like, I don't know what to tell these guys. Like, I kind of know, but I don't really know. So he would be like,
Hmm.
"Oh, Joe over there has kids and a wife. Joe, what's it take to be a man and have kids and raise kids and have a family and provide for a home?" I was like, "What, you want to how to like change a diaper? What do you mean?"
Yeah,
Like
what do
my
you
brain was
mean?
like,
How to set an alarm on your damn phone, wake your ass up, and go to work? Like, that's, I
yeah,
don't
it's
know that
like
that's. What do you need me to tell you?
most of it's just stuff that falls into place once you're in the situation. You don't have an option. You either do it or you're looked at as a terrible person for not doing it, because it is your responsibility to do those things once you're in that situation. And once you have
Hmm.
kids, once you have a home, you've got to maintain these things and take care of them so that
When I
someday they will be good.
Well, and I think calling back to what we were talking about earlier, a lot of people discount the fact that so much of that is actually ingrained in you, similar to dogs that are
Yeah.
raised for years to do a thing. Like, you may be like, oh, I don't know how to, I don't know how to love another person. I don't know how to think about another person's needs. Blah 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 blah. But then you like meet the person and you date them, and then you decide to go from dating to marry them. You just do, you wake up and you choose to love them, because I believe love is a choice every single day when it comes to marriage. And it is a thing where you're just like, yeah, I do this. Like, you never have to like question, why am I doing this, or how do I do this? You just do it.
Yeah,
It's literally just a thing in your brain that's like, yep, we're all good.
you don't, it doesn't, like, how there's those things in life that don't require like literal thought processes. Like if you
Yeah.
had to verbalize it and explain it, yeah, after a little thought you could, but it's not necessary because you've never had
Nope.
to in the first place. It's just a natural reaction. So I think that's how it is for so many people, that when they do hear those questions, it is hard to sometimes give them like a simple answer or a nutshell. It's like, man, we'd have to sit down for a few hours for me to like put this in a way where it's going to help you for real, and not
Exactly.
not just be some one-off nutshell one sentence answer at a convention floor. It's just not the right place or time for that. But you still, they're asking out of honesty, who really wants to ask those kind of things.
That
It's
and
it can't be
that's one of those
comfortable. It
weird
takes a
ones.
little balls to bring it up in the first place. So
And that's one of those ones where you like, you eventually, like, after telling five people different ways to like, wake up and do something nice for the family, you then, you're like, the fact that you're asking me this question tells me that you already are going to make the decisions to do what's right for
yeah,
your family. So take that instinct that brought you to ask me a question and go do what you need to do. You're like, okay, I figured it out. Here's my cheat code for the convention.
yeah. Well, and so many people, unless you know them personally, you can't even really go into details about here's without offending them even, like here's what you need to do, because you never know how people are going to take honesty or reality, and you don't want to dish it out without
Right.
knowing for sure they're the person that's capable of dealing with that, because there's some people where
I,
it doesn't matter what you say, they're just going to do what they do. You don't even know why they ask. But
yeah. Oh,
I was
I don't
definitely in
care
that
about
view.
someone else's feelings if they ask me a question. That I have a couple like sociopathic type traits, and one of them is if you ask me a question, I'm gonna tell you the answer that I think you need because I just don't care what you think about what you need. I'm gonna tell you the answer you need to hear. So that I'm good with that one. You can pass those people on down the line.
Yeah. I used to be more careful depending on who I was talking to and how well I knew them. But these
Mhm.
days, I would say it's a lot less now. Like I try to be polite, but as straight up as possible in the process. And if
Which
they
I think
start,
is important.
yeah. And if they start to argue with me about it, I say, look, you asked me. I'm not going to argue. You got my answer. It's not a debate. This is it. You can take it for what it's worth. I'm not going to get into an actual discussion that's argumentative. This is just all I have to say on the matter.
The
But it was
the
different though. Like there was the 18 to like say 25-year-olds where it's like, okay, you're young. You just need to do a few little key things and you're off to the races. You've got time to get this figured out and get good. There was
yeah,
the
exactly.
25 to 30 range where it's like you're not doing too bad. You can fix some things and probably get on pace pretty quick too, but your clock's ticking on children. So you gotta make your mind up soon. And then there was the like 40 pluses when that would come up where you had no clue what to say because it's like they were
Uh
at their age, like say you're a 48-year-old
learn
man.
string theory and go back
Yeah,
in time.
yeah, it's like look, your problems, I'm assuming, are the kind where there's only about 4 people on planet Earth that are going to put up with it because they're enough like you that they'll put up with it and put up with you. So you've got to find one of those 3 or 4 and just run with it and make the best of it.
hmm
You're going to get one shot at some point, and you better
Yeah.
just make the absolute best of it. And it's not to be cruel or mean, like I said, and I didn't even say anything to most people on that level. That's just me generalizing now. But you could kind of pick that out at the same time. It's some people where I was just like, man, that's thank God that Nick's got to deal with that one right now because I wouldn't have the heart to like tell them um, what it from the outside looking in and knowing you for 2 whole minutes how I would diagnose your personal life situation. But it
Oh,
was still it was
exactly.
really cool. A lot of interesting people. My favorite thing I would say outside of the cigarettes, because that's just funny to me, so I can't help but bring it up that I never had to light a cigarette. Like I was like such a weird thing to be happy about that I didn't expect. But seeing a few like comic book friends that are kind of outside the internet circles, like they just don't get mixed
hmm
up in any of that. They just off to themselves that live down in Texas. Getting to see some of those guys because I hit some of them up and forced them to come up and hang out and party with me, and that was the real highlight. Just getting to see some people that it's such a rare occasion. We're in the same place at the same time. That
Awesome.
yeah, it was a really cool thing. Like, if I was ever out your direction, I'd be like, he better put a little effort into coming to meet up with me because I can't just be out here and not see Blaine. If he's at
Dude,
home playing
I'm available at
Xbox, I'm
all
gonna take
times.
it personal. I
I'm
don't feel like
available at
coming
all.
down. I'm like knee deep in this Call of Duty, and I'm like, that game is 14 years old. Just stop. It's still got World War II people in it, and they're pixelated. Get down here.
I'll pick your ass up from the airport and we'll go fishing for an hour and you'll be like, God, is this what this guy does all day?
That sounds amazing, actually. Like my business partner Shane would be like, this rules. This guy picked us up and took us right to doing the thing that's all I usually want to do in a day. But I get to be in a whole new place and do it.
I just finished tying up some summer lures because it finally got hot enough that it's like, all right, time for some top water with a little bit of that deep water at the same time. So you got the
Yep.
deep to pull them up out of it, then you smack them with a popper afterwards. Like I'm about it. So yeah, no, being semi-retired has been very fun. But even once the food trailer gets here, it'll still be one of those things where it's like if someone shows, like, let's say you randomly texted me, it would be like, okay, here's where the trailer is, come say hi and eat some of my food because I'm gonna give you some of my damn food because that's why I have a trailer.
Oh,
That
yeah.
that's definitely a thing that that should occur. So if you're going to an area near people that you've communicated with online in any meaningful way, like unless it's like, oh, sorry, my dad died this weekend, I have to go to their funeral. Like there's not a lot of excuses that should come up in that instance.
Yeah, exactly. There's the extreme situations where you totally don't question it because you know they
Yeah.
wouldn't say it unless it was 100% true. Like there's people out there that just don't use those extreme things as like lie excuses to get out of stuff. But the
I don't even
food
own an
trucks, you
Xbox. Wait, no, do I own it? I do. I have an original Xbox. That's all
I
I
knew
have.
I knew you did deep down in my heart. I never saw it, but I just knew it somehow.
I
But
actually got it from a friend.
oh well, that's cool. I'm glad you're
Yeah.
getting a food truck though, because when you do, if you're ever near Anime Matsuri again, like in the future shows with it, we may need you badly because there was one thing that was severely lacking, and it was the quality of food truck that was there. And what disturbed me was I have been to tons of events with food trucks just around where I live, you know, Ohio,
Yeah.
Indiana, Kentucky. And no matter where you go in this country, we all know that food truck implies usually pretty good, usually pretty
Mm-hmm.
fresh, usually kind of creative, even if simple or basic. Um,
Yeah.
you know, even if it's less is more, it's done really well, so you're fine with that. And even if it's a little overpriced, it's usually really good, so you don't care. It's all part of the charm. It's part of the fun. You know you're going to enjoy what you eat. This was all the food trucks there were generic. There was like maybe,
Really?
yeah, maybe one serving something original. It was the state fair, not even state, county fairs of the smallest counties in America have more creative food options, even if all it is pulled
Oh
pork hot
no.
dogs, caramel apples. More creative food options in this thing. Like the restaurants were fine, but the food trucks, when you
Of
see a
course.
row of 20 food trucks, 30 food trucks, you go, oh my God, the world's at my fingertips. Look at
Exactly. I'm
all
probably gonna
this
buy
stuff.
from like 3 or 4 of them. It'll be overpriced, but that's because it's unique and interesting. And you're like, oh,
Yeah,
I've never had that in America. Let me try that.
exactly. That was my
Jeez, how
hype.
sad.
Yeah, like I swear some of the pictures like on the like the generic like ramen truck, it was literally a picture of a ramen bowl you can buy at the grocery store in the Chinese section. You know what I mean?
I
It's
know
like
exactly
I
what you
can
mean.
buy these things for 89 cents. Why would I pay 6.99 for a
Oh,
generic ass
that's
like,
fucking
you know,
hilarious.
noodle bowl that I can dump hot water in and have literally any time. There's no part of the country you can't find these. Like it was shocking because I've never seen so many food trucks all serving like equivalent to like they might as well have said like what kind of pizza you want, Red Baron or Tombstone. You know, like that's what you felt like you were getting. Like so it's just frozen pizzas
Oh,
from the store that are like $2.99 a piece. Not that I care about the price of the pizzas. I'm just saying
but it
I'm here
equates
for
to
real
quality at
food.
some
Yeah.
level.
Yeah, I'll pay the extra for the good stuff. Like just make real food. And it wasn't. It
Oh,
was
that's
such a
hilarious.
letdown, man. And those trucks were packed, but I noticed a lot of people just walking and looking. It's like there was always a crowd of people walking and looking. I
Hmm.
talked to more people that said, no, I mean, I looked at them and stuff, but I just ended up going to the steakhouse inside the convention center. That's what it came down to.
Oh my goodness.
You
See
know what
the
this is all I bought. I won't cut you off again. I apologize, but I have to
Oh
spit
no,
it
you
out
you
before
cut
I
me off a
forget.
1,000 times. I don't care.
Yeah. My
I'll
short-term
always
memory is
talk
trash.
eventually.
All I bought from a food truck the whole time was the hotel I was in. They were running short on white milk that morning because it was like first day and people were just crushing everything super fast. And
Hmm.
I got there kind of last minute. And I was like, oh well, milk's milk. You can find it anywhere. Unfortunately, when there's zero convenience stores in an area, you don't find milk just anywhere except the
No.
hotels and the hotel restaurants or the hotel bars or breakfast bars and stuff. So I'm walking around the food trucks and I see this like cookies and milk truck. And yes, they were serving just generic ass store cookies and little jugs of white milk. But I was like,
Cute.
oh my God, white milk. And I asked the lady, I was like, is it all right if I just buy milk? And she's like, yeah, honey, how much milk you want? I was like, how big are they? And she shows me the bottle, and they're just like your typical like gas station size ones. I was
Yep.
like, how much are those? She's like, $3 each. I was like, give me 4 now. I'm dying. I need milk. And we're in like blazing hot heat. No one's asking for milk. And she hooked me up. I literally stood there with, you can ask Lofty. I was like, oh my God, just jugging the milk with sweet
God,
relief.
that's
And
hilarious.
I pounded all of them in about 3 minutes, threw the bag in the trash, and went and sat down with Lofty and was like, I love milk, but oh my God, I'm gonna die. Why why do I
I'm
always
now
do
full of
this?
fat.
Every time
Why did
I'm
I
like
eat all
dying
that
of milk.
milk?
Yeah. It was just, and Shane was like, are you gonna be okay? Are you gonna puke? I'm like, I really love the idea of someone screaming he's gonna puke and then I actually do it. It's so funny to me, but I gotta keep this in. It was so good. I cannot let this milk come back out. I've got to keep it in my stomach because
Oh, that's
I'd taken
hilarious.
caffeine pills and Motrin on an empty stomach to get moving. So I was already feeling a little pukey and I was sweating my balls off out there. And I should have been drinking water, but man, the minute I saw the word milk on a sign, my eyes lit up. I was pounding milk the whole time I was there, even at the breakfast bars. Like, how most people be like, give me like, if you're going to drink booze, like, give me two of this drink or 3 of that, just to make sure they've got enough right out the gate to start getting messed up. I was that guy at a breakfast bar when they were like, what would you like to drink? I'm like, bring me milk, but bring me like 3 glasses of milk because I need milk now. And I do not want to run short because that first glass is going to be gone in a minute. Like, everyone looked at me like, this guy orders milk like he's trying to get wasted on it. And then I go up to the bar and see another giant thing of milk and just fill up even more cups of milk. Like, I was just,
Dude,
it was a
those
milk
continental
heaven.
breakfasts though, like when they've got the
Mhm.
milk, it's like, okay, okay, I'll get some. And I'm a coffee and coffee only, coffee black in the morning kind of guy. But once you have that continental breakfast and you see that giant vat of milk, you're like,
Yeah,
oh, maybe I want some milk right now and some cereal. I haven't had cereal since I was 12.
yeah, dude. I just something.
That's how
I'm
I know
such an
Joe's
easy
funny.
pleaser, man. You do. It's true. Like, I'm pretty sure I got a few looks from like the guy that was clearly from Ecuador that was like, filling my drinks, that was just looking at me like, holy shit, this little fat white dude just cannot stop drinking glass after glass. So I'm not, some people I guess could drink like milk, take a drink, set it down, like it's a
Yeah,
pop or a beer or a normal drink. Once I start to drink a cup, I have to finish it. Like, my body won't let me stop
you
till I've
can't just
pounded
like
that
drink
whole
a.
cup. No, I can't just take a drink. I
What do
have
you?
to drink.
Are we gonna dive into some sort of like childhood drama where you set your milk down and then like a bird pooped in it, so now you won't set a milk cup down if it has milk in it? Where is this going here?
I think it's more childhood spoilage. Being given milk all the
Oh,
time and just having access to it anytime I wanted, and that being my favorite drink as a kid. Like, I got to a point by the time I was probably 10 where I stopped even using cups. Like, if no one was around in the kitchen, I just grabbed that jug out and pounded as much of it as I could and put it back in the fridge quickly. Like, I always drank to the point where I felt nauseated. Like, I would just keep jugging until it was like, okay, I'm gonna puke now. I better stop. And to this
geez,
day, I have the
bro.
same problem, dude. We have to keep like 4 gallons of milk in the house at all times just so the kids can get some of it.
Do you guys have a good local milk place?
Oh, tons of them, man. There's just milk farms
Okay.
everywhere. Like, the milk's delicious no matter where you get it from. Like, any of the stores or any whatever, it's all coming from the same handful of milk farms. So
Because we have
there's
we
even,
have Dairy Gold and we have Smith Brothers in this area, and like Smith Brothers, I could drive 20 minutes and I'll be at their farm, right? But then I feel like when I was in when I've been in Texas, I've been to Dallas, and when I've been to like Oklahoma and Boston and stuff, it's always like it's just like the Kroger brand milk. There's never like that local milk where you're like, oh, this is the better milk. It's always just like whatever the generic one is, and you're like, how do you guys not have good milk?
I mean, that's still pretty commonplace, but there's so many little milk farms just kind of everywhere that if you do want that, it's accessible. It's easy to get to. It's
There you go.
not expensive really. It's still about the same price as the store milk. We actually have one place about 15 minutes from me, little milk farm where they obviously do your typical 3 different white milks and then your chocolate milk. but then they also
Yep.
have strawberry milk, orange milk.
Oof.
They
Dairy
have
Gold
like
does the
they
strawberry.
yeah
Orange?
yeah
Orange
they
I've
have
not
orange.
heard.
It tastes kind of like Fruit Loops, but the problem is it's like because cereal milk is the best milk in my opinion. Um, it's too dense, so I
I
couldn't
think
handle it. Like for me, it was like trying to drink like a melted ice cream. It was just way too dense. But my
I think
kids
you're
loved it.
transitioning from vanilla gorilla to milk monkey. I think you're making it.
I'm down. That's fine. I'll take the notoriety of being a milk monger at a high
There you go.
level. But yeah,
That's
it's
hilarious.
amazing. We have a store called Jungle Gyms. It's like it's massive here in Ohio, and they just stock everything from the entire planet, every food from every place you can think of. Giant aquariums filled with fish. You can just get any fish you want right on the spot and get it butchered up. But they have
Oof.
milk that's so fresh and so ready that like it still builds like a chunk of cream on top.
Yep. You
Like
gotta shake it up.
yeah, it's that ready to go. And I got like a big jug of that in a glass when we were down in uh, since Eastgate. It's an area outside of It's part of Cincinnati, and
We have an Eastgate too. It's
I think
east
every
of
place
Bellevue.
does. Everyone's got like an Eastgate and a Beaver Creek, and like there's a bunch of vills that turn up everywhere where we all have the same, you know, Ville ending place. But man, dude, I drank that. We got that because I thought the kids would like it, and it never even made it home before it was gone. So I was just like, oh my gosh, how good. I just kept drinking it and drinking it. It was delicious.
Amazing. Amazing. So is Anime Matsuri a 24-hour con?
Not technically, but it might as well have been in a lot of
Okay.
ways. Like there was a night where there was a rave, but it started at like midnight. So that thing was going till at least 2:30.
Yeah.
Like there were things where events would drag on for so long that by the time you actually got back to your room, you were like 3 or 4 hours from it being 24 hours, you know. But for me, it was damn near because we were getting up early, doing the show, partying our brains out. The minute we were wrapping for the day, and even at the con itself, I mean, Houston. I don't know if it's like this everywhere. In Cincinnati, you don't see this as much, and I don't think it would even be tolerated too well. But there's booze being served in every inch of Houston. Outside,
Okay.
inside, everywhere you go, there is access to hard liquor and beer and wine, and to a point where it's like you can't not be drinking constantly because it's just surrounds you every place. So even on the con floors, there were little like booth bar setups just serving hard liquor
That's
and
so
stuff.
funny.
Yeah, which I
Because Texas is like a comparatively blue law state where like you can't sell liquor in a grocery store. It has to be sold from a liquor store, right? Like they're such like a weird dichotomy of like, this is Texas, you can do what you want, but then like they also have these really weird restrictions for liquor. So I'm glad to hear that because I was hoping for that when I finally hit a Texas convention, but that was always one thing that I was like,
I
just
wonder if it's
bring
a
my own
downtown
and fill
Houston
my
thing.
my water bottle with it, or what do we do here?
Well, even Houston International, like the airport, I'm not even exaggerating. I know some of these things sounds like exaggerations, but just go there someday. This is not an exaggeration. Once you get through security, the entire airport, no matter what terminal or what inch of it you're going to, and it's a massive, massive place. Tons of train shuttles everywhere. I mean, it's like seeing a dystopic complex in the future if it's nighttime. It's so big. Every inch of it's a bar on the outer wall.
Oh, there you go.
Every single inch. It's just miles of bar everywhere. You see booze and hard liquor for as far as the eye can see. And there's literally thousands and thousands of people all sitting there drinking because the whole place is one massive bar. It kind of blew my mind because in Cincinnati, yeah, you've got some restaurants and some junk shops and stuff like that, your typical things. But the
Hmm.
entire building is not a bar. this whole
No,
place.
exactly.
I I was mind blown by it. But yeah, and like even public intoxication, like I was pretty sure somebody would get arrested at least every night, the whole night. That gives you a broad range, but at least every night, the whole night, I was like, oh my god, someone's getting picked up now. But no, there's literally the cops were only by the con to kind of maintain traffic. It's just that downtown area is nothing but business buildings. All those buildings have security everywhere. It's like the cops don't need to be there
Hmm.
because it's comfortable. There's just no crime in a place you would think there would be. You can comfortably go all over the place. You never see a cop. You're not worried about getting picked up for being drunk, but you also never see anyone that you're worried about robbing you. It's
Right.
just strange. It was the polar opposite of all these things I would have expected out of a major, world hub like Houston, where you've got people from all walks of life just coming and going at all times. But it was great too because I just got to be fucked up for 4 days straight with zero regard whatsoever. I could smoke cigarettes almost wherever I wanted as long as it wasn't like indoors in the wrong place, or
Yeah.
I could
As
drink
long
and
as no
just
one
go
got
walk.
pissed off.
Yeah, and nobody said a word to anyone. Like even outside of us, like people just didn't seem to have any care in the world about it. And, I mean, by
That's
Saturday,
awesome.
I was like drinking during the con too. Like I print now Friday, yes. By Friday, because it was Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. It was 4 days. By Friday, I was like, oh, forget it. Throwing caution to the wind. I'm just gonna drink from the minute we get there, lightly, till we leave. I wasn't gonna pull a Cecil. Like Cecil was like gone by 3 p.m. some days. Like he was already like
Oh, you
sideways
mean Cecil's
walking.
not a great drinker who can hold his liquor for all day?
Oh, he can though. That's what's wild. He's literally like you can tell he's at most people's max out point. Like your average person would be falling over. He can bear through that for like
Oh, that's
14
funny.
hours and just keep going. It's sort of impressive in a way, but I just I thought for sure there was someone was going to get picked up because we were so wasted in every place we went, and it just made people get more loud and more noisy, and
Yeah.
you know,
Well, there's sort of like that con happy, right? Where like you can't quite tell if they're drunk or if they're just having a good time with friends. I've carried many water bottles around conventions and just had a good time, and I remember I remember I was at a convention. I had a guy that we were meeting up with, and we were chatting, and we were having a good time, and uh I offered him a drink. I was like, "Hey, you want a drink?" And he like had a sip, and he was like, "Fuck was that?" I was like, "What do you think it was? It's an opaque water bottle at a convention. It's what do you think's happening here? You think I'm just
it's clear
offering you some
booze,
of my
gotcha.
water?"
Yeah,
That
yeah,
would be
dude, it
that would
was
be the weirder thing if I offered you, "Would you like a drink of my water bottle?" Like that would be weird.
yeah, yeah. Well, it's too like you start to run into people and other things get thrown your way, and you just live in the moment. So
Yep.
if someone's like, here's an edible, here's a weed vape, here's this, here's that, I was just like, yes, 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 give me more. I was 100% on board because like I was away from home. I was like, there's no way I'm gonna like.
I don't
I'm
have to
basically I said,
drive.
yeah, I'm not gonna be able to smoke for like 5 days, which isn't a big deal because like if you're addicted to weed, you've just got problems. Like it's just nice to have around, but if you're so addicted to it that you can't leave your home for a few days without it, that's strange. But
Hmm.
lucky for me, there were a lot of those people that that brought all kinds of edibles and God knows what with them. So no hard drugs. That's nobody was looking for felony counts. But
You didn't have someone just offer you blow while you're on the beach?
no, but I mean I'm not gonna lie, I was kind of hoping. I was like, man, some
It's
some cocaine turns up. I haven't had that shit since I was like 22. I'm gonna definitely get suck a few rails up if something pops up, but
That's
no,
hilarious.
it never
That's
happens.
one
So.
that's one of those like hilarious things that I feel like people always think is like not super common. So like I personally never have because I'm usually in a position where like I have to drive or I have to go somewhere. Like I'm not here all night. Like I'm not about that. But like you do any industry in this area long enough and somebody's doing it or someone's offering it or something like that. It's
Yeah.
like I thought
Yeah.
I had to go to like a high school party in order to be offered Drogas here. And it's like, whoa, hey, guy got a tiny baggie. Okay. No, I'm
Yeah.
good. I've got to drive in like 10 minutes and there's cops everywhere.
Yeah. I'll agree with you there. You would be, the rest of the world doesn't know how many people are just doing their job perfectly
Const-
fine, but they're completely fucked up every day of the week, whether they're at work or they're at whatever. And sometimes they're jobs that are kind of tedious, that where you really shouldn't be, but just nobody says anything because the guy does his job and he doesn't screw up. So it's like, yeah, we know, but we're not going to drug test him. He doesn't cause us
Or
any
they
trouble.
just don't know. There's so many people that are
Oh, yeah.
so sweet summer child about the whole thing, and you're like, you don't think that everyone who is trying to call you to sell you a house is also hocked up on something while they're doing those phone calls, because it's so like I my drug will always be liquor. I used to bring just liters of sake and just be drinking while I was cold calling people. And yeah, sure, there were other things happening around me, but it's like I've got my drug of choice. I know what I like, and it's just like if you don't think the person on the other end of that phone call is doing something to get themselves through this, as much as you hate this phone call, they have like 100 more of these to do today. So not a big
Yeah, yeah, it's there's certain things where, especially if you have to be sociable or maintain a mood, and you have to have a certain tone and mood when you're doing this thing, and
yeah,
just sipping on something will kind of keep you there. Obviously, you're not pounding a whole bottle the minute you get to work, but just keeping yourself,
right,
just a little bit comfortable. It's like there it is. That's the sweet spot.
yeah.
Now I can do this job at a high level and
It's like
be
when you're
more
bowling.
friendly.
You're like bowling or you're playing pool. Like there's a little level of like looseness that you're okay with.
Yeah, yeah.
What the hell is my lost anime ass saying? You had your brother arrested once of kidnapping. The cops thought you were either kidnapped or drunk when you waved in the middle of the night at the cameras on the highway. Who has cameras on the highway? Like, where do you live? Do you live in Logan's Run? Like, what is this world?
Some areas, dude, got a lot of road cameras. You'd be surprised.
Goodness, we
I
have
don't
like
know so much about
intersection cameras.
highway, but yeah, intersections big time for sure.
Yeah, but like those will just send you a ticket for running a red light. I don't. This is insane to me.
If you work in certain industries, and I only know this because my wife used to own a salon, and part of like their state required like education updates every so often, like every few years,
Mm,
just because things might change with like what chemicals are legal to put on people's heads or how to do certain things. Because so much of hairdressing is chemicals, and you do got to be careful. You can hurt somebody.
yeah,
Um,
even the ones to clean stuff.
yes, yeah, exactly. That's a huge part of it as well, because keeping things sterilized is such a big thing in that world. Um, they give you courses on how to spot like people that are being trafficked, because a lot of traffickers will bring their, the people they're going to try to sell or pawn off or do whatever with or be their, their hooker. Um,
Yeah,
they'll take them to the salon to get them dolled up and to get them fixed up. Like it's just a common place where these people might come through: hotels, salons. There's a few other kind of key jobs. So the state of Ohio makes you take these courses to identify like signs of it, and so if it's going down. So it wouldn't surprise me if there is something like that for like road cameras, or if they think
mm,
someone's panically waving at a road camera, that maybe that
yeah.
person's in danger. Like it hits like an algorithm or a radar or ticks off something where they're like, yo, go check that out. That's a little unusual. So
Interesting.
it wouldn't surprise me just from other things. Like when my wife told me she had to learn about human trafficking for, Cosmo
For
license.
hairdressing, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, what? That sounds stupid. Why would you guys even have to fuck with a test about that? And when she explained it to me, I
Oh,
was like,
people are
okay.
evil. That's
Yeah.
right. Okay.
Mhm. I was like, this is Wilmington. She's like, it's the whole state. It's not like it's just one town. I was like, all right, fair enough. That makes sense. I get it. It's probably better these things.
The weirder thing for me there is that it's every damn state. Like I thought our state, and like different times when I would have to learn stuff like that at my jobs, was like, okay, yeah, we're Seattle area, right? We've got a giant port, airplanes all the time, boats all the time. Like that makes sense. But then like every other city and every other state I learn about, and they also have to do a lot of that same kind of training. It's like, oh, I guess it's a national problem. Maybe we should fix things.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah,
the cameras on the highway function as speeding cameras and safety cameras because unlike the USA, when you drive speed limit here, you will cross the country in about 4 hours. What?
it must live in Europe.
Gotta be. What is it,
Yeah.
Luxembourg? What? That's the tiny one, right? I just threw that
Well,
name
here
out thinking it
in
was
our country, you can't cross any place in any short amount of time, and that's something Europeans find out when they get here and think in a 3-day trip they're going to hit Miami and Chicago and LA and New York. They're going to do it all on the highways and byways. It's like, brother, you're going to get to one of those places. You better reevaluate because this country is huge once it comes
yeah,
to the
unless that's
travel
an
aspect.
airplane taking you from point A to point B, you're out of luck,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah. But I mean, I know some people that know it, but I've still heard that from a handful of you know, foreigners or church friends or things like that that come over for one reason or another. They're just shocked at how big it is. I'm like, well, you've seen a map, haven't you? They're like, yeah, but it's different when you're literally seeing it with your own eyes. And I'm like, fair enough. I'm sure 90% of where you live would be eye opening to me too, even if it feels commonplace to you guys.
Wow, why is everything so close to me?
Yeah, yeah. Well, then you see places like China and you're like, it's a huge country. No wonder it has all those people. And then someone's like, yeah, but they all live on the coast. Like
Yeah,
75% or more of the country is like uninhabited. And
it's like
that's when
the
you find that out.
the
It's like, what?
Canada population map.
Yeah, like no wonder they're so bunched together. They don't, there's only one place they can actually live, and it's all right by the water.
Yep, definitely. Bum bum bum. We talked about is it because that's the thing I love about the way SakuraCon is set up is it's actually a 24-hour con. So it's not a 3-day con. It's actually a what is that 96-hour con, 72-hour con, whatever 3 days, 24 times 3, 70 something.
30,
Anyway, because
yeah,
they literally just have like theaters on the top floor that are just playing anime with like giant sleeping bags and beanbag
oh,
chairs and
that's
stuff, so you
cool.
can just go
Yeah,
crash. And you never have to leave the con for any reason for the 3 days. So um I love that about that convention. Also, the
that
after
is that's
parties are in Seattle.
after parties are fun.
That they are. That they are. So you had good conversations with people that figured out who you were. In 24 hours, you can cross 15 countries here. In 24 hours, I could probably get to. You probably cross the country in 24 hours, right?
In the States, I mean, you can go from
Not
like
safely, but I could.
you can go from like Illinois to excuse me, to like Georgia in like 22 hours, like the top of Illinois to the bottom of Georgia. So it just depends on if you're going north, south, or east, west, or
Okay,
where you're trying to get.
if I took the freeways and went the speed limit to New York with no traffic, that'd be 42 hours. Jeez, I never even thought about that. It only takes 9 hours to go from Tokyo to Hokkaido.
I feel like a person could get around all of Japan, like if it was just a straight drive from top to bottom, relatively quick. Yeah, like 10 or 12 hours. But then again, I don't
It's
really know how big it is. It seems like it's long. So long and
well, and
slender.
what's nice too is like it's also one of those countries that doesn't care about the speed limit. Like it's posted like 100 kilometers or 60 miles an hour, but it's not actually enforced in any way until they do these things. There's a name for them, but it translates to like the police parade, basically, where a cop just gets onto the highway and drives for a while at the speed limit, and everybody has to line up behind him basically to go the speed limit. Because if you pass the cop, he's gonna arrest you. But like they just do that, and then they get off, and as soon as they get off, everybody like even in a little tiny K car, I was doing like 130, 140 kilometers, which is like I guess only like 70 or 80 miles an hour. Um, but yeah, from Tokyo, landing in Tokyo, getting a car, driving all the way up to the North Island was only 9 hours. Didn't take long at all. Serrano
That's
doesn't think I could go from Seattle to New York in one day. I think I could if I didn't have to worry about cops. I could easily do that.
it's all circumstantial. It's like, yeah, reality, no. But in a situation where highways are empty, no cops to pester me, yeah, I could figure it out.
I got a rally car. I'll take the dirt the whole way.
You're a foodie though. You would just
You're
fuck
right. I
up your
couldn't.
time like every hour. She'd be like, "Oh," and you'd have to pull off the highway.
You know me too well. You know
Yeah.
me too well.
Your wife would
And
be like, "It's a Cracker Barrel. We've been there 10,000 times. It doesn't even count." You're like, "But I need some biscuits and gravy, yo. I got to have it now."
shockingly, I've yet to be to a Cracker Barrel. I've driven past one the couple times I've been to Oklahoma, and I think I drove past one in Texas, but yeah, I still have not been to a Cracker Barrel.
It's just good comfort food. If you
That's
like
what I
things
hear.
that taste like homemade comfort food, that's what it's good for, and you get good quantities and generally good service and good quality, and it's one of those places where you understand why it's kind of Americana now because it's just anyone that's mom cooked for them growing up. You're getting that, but refined,
Right, right.
and
So
that's my kind of stuff.
Fukuoka is the worst city in Japan. I call it fuck you, okay? Because it's so fucking disappointing, and I've complained about it every time. Everyone's like, "Oh, you go to Fukuoka when you go to the south. Go to Fukuoka. Fukuoka. That's where tonkotsu ramen was started. It's my favorite type of ramen. Is the pork broth ramen. It's really like creamy, milky ramen. It's just made from literally pig's feet. Like it's so freaking good. Uh,
Sounds amazing.
there's a lot of places that make it just as good as Fukuoka. The only thing I learned in Fukuoka that was worth any amount of time was the fact that mentaiko is delicious, which is like a spicy cod roe. But the rest of that place was boring. But from Fukuoka to Sapporo is the distance from Seattle to Milwaukee. I guess that makes sense. I've driven from Osaka to Fukuoka, and I've driven from Tokyo to Sapporo, but I have not driven from Tokyo to Osaka, so I don't know the middle third of that trip very well.
I heard from a fellow that lives over there that Roppongi is like the only place you can find an ATM that still functions after 8 o'clock at night.
Interesting.
He's like,
I have not had to try to use an ATM after 8 o'clock, and usually it's like I'll hunt down the green ones because the green ones are like the Japan Post Bank, so they have like no fees, and you can use like your Western debit cards if you want to pull out cash. But nowadays, Japan is like a very card friendly country.
is it getting
In
there finally? That's good.
dude, in 2013, we needed cash everywhere.
Yeah.
When we went, I want to say it was either 2015 or 2016. Suddenly it was like, oh, cash or card, and people started asking. Even at like weird little kind of like random offshoots we'd go to, people would ask cash or card, and I was like, oh, you guys know how to take cards now? Awesome. And so, still keep like a couple $100 worth of yen on you just in case, because fucking international shit. You never know. Your card could get declined just because it thinks somebody stole it. But still a lot more card ability over there nowadays, which is fantastic.
Well, yeah, cash has just kind of been the name of the game there for so long. It's like I always felt like, even though I've never been there, I'm always just going off of what I've heard from people that have, yourself and others and things like that. Like that's where I'm getting my information from.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people would tell me like, you cannot function over there without cash. And these were people that were going in the 90s and the early 2000s. They were like, it's
Yep.
just Japan invents the tech and then they outsource it to everyone else, but they don't actually have any interest in using, certain levels of it themselves. Like, yeah, maybe
Totally.
someone could have possibly helped come up with a credit card machine that was Japanese, but it didn't mean his own country had any interest in it. Like, yeah,
No,
we're
and
cool
their
with the
their
cell phone.
websites suck.
Yeah, we're
Yeah.
cool with the video game machine, but we ain't got any interest in cards and swipers and all that horse shit. So, but that's cool that they're
No.
finally getting it. I mean, I know some people like get weirded out by the level of cashless even we're starting to reach in our own country, but like this is how I always look at it. I'm suspicious when something's clearly like being propagandized into trying to make it normal, but when it's
Mm,
something that just happens organically, it's not anyone pressuring us into it. It's just this is just how we're all organically getting to this point. It's not even
yeah.
no one had to force us to use less cash. We just realized our lives were easier when we could just swipe a card. So organically, just people stopped using as much cash in this country. So
Yep.
I'm not as
Eh,
suspicious of it like some of my pals that maybe will look a little too deep into it. Like, oh man, they're trying to take the dollar away. I'm like, they don't have to try to. Literally just sit back and let it happen on its own. It requires no evil bad guys for this. The certain things do for sure are just coded in corruption and evil. This one,
yeah.
convenience is the winner here. You know,
Yeah.
not getting robbed because what's a guy going to do with your card if you can't make it work without knowing what area code it's from or
Yep.
something like that? Like there's
Or
so many,
the
or the
second he
pin, or
gets away, you're gonna call your bank and cancel it, right?
yeah, you can literally call a robot number at
And
any
even if he
time of the
makes a
day. And take
purchase,
care.
he'll be like, "That wasn't me," and they'll just refund it. Like it's
Yeah,
kind of crazy how much money the card companies make that they're just like, "Oh yeah, that wasn't you. Cool. All right. What is you?" Um, I think with Japan, what it is like specifically, because Dragon was saying, "Oh, they're very traditional." Maybe that's why. I don't know if it's tradition because it is one of those countries where you can walk around with like a small handful of change that's worth like $20. So it's a very weird monetary system over there. But I think it's correlated to the chip cards, like the ability for chip cards to not cost as much when you run it. And if you're a small mom and pop business who's all you do is unagi, so you have these eel bowls over rice, and that's all you do. It costs you a little bit over what it costs you to make, or you sell it for a little bit over what it costs you, and you're making a decent living there when you sell it in cash. But if anybody wants to charge a card, you're looking at like 3%, 4%. Suddenly chip cards come in, it's more secure, so banks are willing to go down to like 2%. Now you can afford to start charging things on cards. International tourists are having zero transaction fees for international things. So suddenly it's becoming more and more easy for people to spend cards in your country. I think it's just more of a natural growth of cheaper transactions than it is necessarily like, oh, now we can take cards. It maybe tradition has to do with it in some instances, but I think for the most part, it's just about the dollar and how much it usually costs for transactions done with cards.
yeah, yeah. It's of course there's lots of tradition there, and that's part of what we appreciate about them. But there's so much stuff that's hard to gauge if you don't actually live or actually grew up somewhere. You're
Mm-hmm.
always at the will of television or YouTube videos or educational things, and I don't know. It's odd to me. I talk to people that live over there, and even though their experience of what they think's normal or not normal is usually like centered around Tokyo.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that's the norm for the countryside or for some of the more rural or smaller areas or for Kyoto. It's not gonna. Some things don't translate the same, and even in the other big cities.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I
and
had
even with that too, it's like, yeah, like every city that you can think of the name of in Japan, I would guess that's where 90% of the people live, maybe more. Um, because like we did a homestay, so Japan and Washington have a really good connection. We're part of the Japan American Society of Washington State, and so like we had a house guest from Japan who stayed with us. We showed him around Washington, and she was like, "Oh, when you come to Japan," because we were planning to go that fall. come meet me. I live just outside of Kyoto, right? She says just outside of Kyoto. So we go to Kyoto and we plan an entire day that we'll spend with her and her family. And she comes and picks us up, and she drives us, I want to say, an hour outside of Kyoto. So not terribly far, but like far enough that like you wouldn't really go every single day into the city, for example.
Yeah, yeah.
And her town had 10 families in it that all knew each other, that each one, she was like, this is our rice paddy, that's their rice paddy, and et cetera, et cetera. They were sort of the central town, so they had an elementary school slash high school in their city, even though most of the kids that went there came from the other towns in the area. And then you'd walk past a house that was just empty, and you're like, who lives there? And she's like, oh, nobody, it's abandoned. It was just an abandoned house, an hour outside of Kyoto, you know, and you get these places where there's just nobody lives there as soon as you step outside, and the towns are dying, and it's so drastically different from there's not enough room for people to live in Osaka, Tokyo, Kyoto, Hiroshima, Sapporo. Like there's just not enough room for all these people versus you go out of your way half hour, an hour, and suddenly nobody wants to live in these towns. It's a crazy dichotomy.
Yeah, I can't wait to get over there at some point. Like I said, if I get a chance, or if I know there's like a financial ability to do it, definitely gonna hit you up first and be like, brother, when are you going? We'll time this up a little bit so that like I'm not a friggin' nervous pervis the whole time. I'll have someone with a little experience around me. Yeah.
Fall is my favorite time to go. It is. Spring has the beauty of the cherry blossoms, which if cherry blossoms are something you want to see, come to Washington. We have plenty of Japanese cherry blossoms. But when you go to Japan and you see the momiji, all of the fall leaves in there, it's something else. Plus, it's not hot, it's not cold, it's just right. And everybody who is a tourist going to Japan goes in the spring, so there's not these crazy lines and all this other crap you have to deal with. It is such a better time. We're heading down this fall, and I'll see what's still open, what exists, and how it is, and then we'll see how many more falls in a row I can attend.
That's amazing.
When you go,
brother.
don't forget to hit the maids cafes. Yeah, maid cafes are always on the list.
Did anyone tell you about the maid issues at Anime Matsuri?
I briefly heard someone complaining about the fact that only a bunch of dudes were wearing maid costumes, and I was curious if they'd ever been to an anime convention before, because that's pretty par for the course. But is there something else that happened?
No, you're right. It is pretty par for the course. The catch was things were advertised like you were going to get like a fun maid cafe with like, you know, just cute girls in their maid outfits doing their thing, and or just in cosplay, because you know the maid outfits can vary too on, you know, half cat girl, half maid, or whatever it is. There's variations in that mix.
Is it French? Is it blue? Is it yellow? Yeah, it goes on.
So
I'm a connoisseur.
Exactly. It's anyone that's been into this stuff even for a year knows these kind of things, because you've just seen so much of it at this point. But yeah, there was just roaming hordes of dudes and maid outfits, and while it didn't like shock me necessarily, because I was telling people before we even went, like, okay, I know you're excited to see some cute girls walking around all dolled up, but just be reminded, for every cute girl you're going to see a man in the same exact outfit. So like
sometimes you'll see a handsome woman too.
Yeah, like temper your hormones a little bit, because your poor ding dong might be confused all day long and just be doing all kinds of weird things. You might be stuck half stock and confused for days here. So I wasn't too shocked myself, but like some of the other like comic skater or like YouTube people that they're not in weeb circles, they don't understand anime, they're not really into manga, they just haven't given any of that time yet. There was a lot of like, what the fuck? Like, all these, like, you heard so much of that from people. They'd be like, did you see that? It's like, yeah,
Like,
I
yeah,
saw it. It was a guy that was 6'4", muscles coming out of his ears, looked like he could take everyone at this con if he wanted and beat the hell out of them in a tiny, tiny, tight maid outfit. Yes,
yep.
I saw it. Guess what? There's a man for every shape and size here and every color of skin in a maid outfit. You're going to find one for every part of the planet, and you're going to find them in groups. And they very much were. You would see like 15 of them just all running around together, like in their little, like, the same as if you saw any other anime character where some people are like, we're all dressed the same and just kind of buddy up for the day. Like there, it was no different. So lots and
Yeah.
lots of that. Did not shock me. Did not shock the people there exclusively for anime, but it
Oh,
definitely
it's
it
so
shocked a
funny.
few people I was around. They were just like, "Good lord!" There were just, and a few of them too. I knew what it was. They were like, "Hey, look at that!" And then it turns around and it's not a girl at all. It's just a skinny Asian boy. And they're like, "Oh no!" I'm questioning myself. It's like,
Don't
yeah,
question
man.
yourself. It's just what happens at the anime convention. And it's been that way. So
Hmm.
I want to say 2017, there was an anime where the cute schoolgirls, when they transformed into their magical girl, like powered up Sailor Moon versions, turned
Hmm.
into like jack dudes, and it was really funny.
Yeah,
Um, Dudes wearing maid costume has been around long before that show ever existed. So it's not like it's a new thing. It's not like it's a trend. It's just welcome to dudes wanting to dress up, and it's hilarious.
it is. It was
I
it was
can't.
a lot. I was glad to some degree that there
Yeah.
were so many people there just trying to have fun and enjoy themselves with it that threw caution to the wind, because I guarantee you at least half of the girls there, I think if it was just everyday life and they were just going out and about, they would probably not be comfortable in certain clothes just due to their size or the way they looked or things like that.
Mm-hmm.
At this thing, it was no. Like, it was good to see the confidence. That's what I'm trying to say. It was good to see
Yeah.
so many young people and people in their early 20s that might be self-conscious about themselves just being like, "Nope, I don't care if people think I'm Fat Starfire. I'm Starfire." Or I'm,
Exactly.
this anime character I love.
But
And it was just
that's what.
great seeing them all so happy and everyone getting along, and you had literally, it was a melting pot. You had everyone from everywhere at this thing. It was families and kids, and yeah, there were a few inappropriate outfits. Don't get me wrong. The guys in maid outfits were kind of the least of that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there was
Yeah.
definitely like a few butts that, like, I could have pretty much seen the chick's butthole at that point. Like, you need to cover just a tiny bit more. There are
That
children up in
that's a
here.
lot of ass.
Yeah, yeah. But
um.
99% of the crowd was tactful. You could tell they put a
Yeah.
bunch of work into their costumes and into their outfits, and it was fun to see. It was wild, man. There were just so many people at this thing, and it was just interesting, and it was a lot of fun.
That is one of my favorite. I forget if it's like a little online comic strip or what someone did, where it's like someone like comes up to this guy and they're like, "Whoa, nice fat Batman costume," and they walk away and he's like, "Actually, it's just Batman."
Oh yeah, you're actually,
That's one of my favorites.
like, I would get on a kick of throwing compliments at certain gals I saw down there, like it was
Hmm.
circumstantial. Plus, there was a lot of there were a lot of people in masks or that looked a certain age range, so you didn't want to be stupid. You don't want to just run your mouth around them, because for all you knew, you were talking to mostly minors whose parents just dropped them off there. So you had to be tactful and be smart. You couldn't be a pervert. But like I went outside to smoke, and there was this just very just normal, pretty looking, maybe like 40-year-old mom, 45-year-old mom, just sitting on a bench
Hmm.
messing with her phone, kind of looking around like, Jesus Christ, where did I bring my kids to? And I just said, just said, "Hey, honey, I like your normal person cosplay. It looks good on you." And she gave me the whole, "Oh, thanks," and put her shoulder up to her chin. I was like, "Look at that! I just made some mom's day just by
There you go.
complimenting her regular clothes instead of complimenting all the people in wild outfits." I was like, I
Nice.
think mom needed it that day, just someone to say something nice to her. But it was funny, man. Some of the rate. I'll tell you this: if they were in street clothes, you almost knew for a fact it was someone that came because of a YouTuber or Comicsgate. Always, if they because the people that came for anime were there full spirit. They were
Yep.
they were all in for every aspect of it. So
Yeah, yeah. They if they were in their street clothes, they would be wearing like a Sailor Moon backpack and a Yu Yu Hakusho shirt. Like it's
mhm.
they're a very obvious group of people. Um, Michael Delucia the Third believes he saw you on Sunday. This is our monster girl. Or sorry, let me clarify. Cat girls aren't monster girls. Monster girls are centaurs and better.
Mhm.
Um, uh, chatter. So we made sure
He probably
that
did.
that he swung by.
If I saw a picture of him, I could probably identify if I met him for sure or not. But yeah, it's
Oh, he
uh,
he doesn't have a memorable face. You won't remember him. You'd only remember him if he talked about monster girls. That's how you know.
uh, you know, we met so many people at different times, and it was cool just being recognized. One guy even was like, he clearly knew who I was from a picture or something, but he's like, I recognize those hands because all I do is draw. I was like, oh, you recognize these tiny weird freak hands? You must
Oh
know
my
it's
god, that
Joe
might have
Hall.
been him. That might have been him because I said people will only remember your hands. Oh, Michael, if that was you, I set you up for that awful joke.
Well, dude, after Yellow Flash put a tweet out saying it was a face reveal and it was just a picture of me sitting there yawning at his booth, the
Oh,
one minute
right.
I sat down at his booth because I was getting a little sleepy for a second, he caught that picture
Mm-hmm.
just on time because he was, you know, on the other side of like the YouTube circle at that moment in time, hiding out in his costume. And
I didn't think he was gonna actually go. I thought he was gonna stay home, but
he pulled it out at the last minute. I don't know if
yeah.
someone guilt tripped him into it or pushy issue, or the con was like, "Look, dude, you already committed, and we already built a big custom thing for you. You got to at least show up for 5 minutes." But he got there, and that was good, and he was a lot of fun to hang out with as well. Far bigger guy than I expected too. Because when he walked up to me, this was like after hours when he got there, so he wasn't like dressed up or nothing. Some giant dude comes over just rattling my head and shaking me by my shoulders like, how are you, man? And I'm like, yeah, get off me. Who the fuck am I talking
Oh,
to?
fucking
You
touch
know?
me, don't.
Yeah, yeah. Like I'm about to get defensive here, dude. And but no, he was like, who do you think I am? I said, I don't know. That's why I just asked you who you were. You don't
Yeah.
recognize my voice? Like, no, or I wouldn't be asking you who you were. He's like, it's me, Yellow Flash. And I was like, you don't even sound the same. Like, you must be doing something with your levels on your mic because you sound different in real life than you do on air. Not insanely. Like once you're around him a
He's
little
using
bit,
like an
you hear it more.
earbud for a microphone or some bullshit.
Yeah, it was odd, but I mean,
Oh, funny.
he's a big dude, man. He ain't no small fry. So it was
Oh,
surprising. Like
so
I'm average, a little above average on size. I'm not like tiny myself, but man, drunk 3PO, very
are
big
you like
guy.
me, where you're like 6 feet away from being 6 foot tall?
I'm 5'11" technically, but
Yeah,
if I
we're the
put on
same.
shoes,
High
I reach.
five.
Yeah, exactly. So I get right there. My brothers are all over 6. It's complete horseshit. They even have blue eyes. I swear to God, I hate them. No, I'm kidding. I
my
love them.
my
But
cousins my cousins are all 6 something. They're like 6'2", 6'4", and it's like, God, where did that gene go?
yeah, yeah. But I
Uh,
actually have stayed younger looking. They have already started losing their hair and their faces are hanging. And I'm like, y'all take care of yourself when you look old as shit. And I just live my life however I so desire with limits, you know. But and like
still,
I
you have
literally look
fun.
10 to 15 years younger than both you guys, and one of you is technically younger than me. So, but yeah, it was the problem was Yellow Flash gave people. He didn't give people the impression it was clearly a joke that I was not him. But a lot of people saw the tweet and did not bother looking at the comments where there were a bunch of people being like,
Of course
"No,
not.
that's Joe Ball, or that's this, that's not him. You did this with
Yeah.
3PO earlier. This isn't him." But
Well,
then
then
I just
like
kept getting that
I
all
think
day.
Renfamous actually thought 3PO was Yellow Flash, but then
She
also was
did.
like, "Oh, I don't care if it's not him or not." It was like, "What? What? Why are you so weird? Why you gotta be so weird about things?"
Well, and she even tried to insinuate like, of course he would look this way, like he looked ugly or something. It's like 3PO is literally probably top five most handsome people at this entire event. Like you can't try to joke on a guy when maybe he's a 6 back home, but he's a 10 here. He's a 10
Yeah.
amongst this crowd. He's tall, his arms are huge. He's got a cut jaw. Like I'm an artist, so I notice all these things about people. Like I can't help but notice like small features that make them look a certain way to me. And
Yeah.
I just thought that part was weird too. I'm like,
Like what?
did you really
What?
walk around the whole con? Because 3PO kind of looks like a beast walking around in here. The guy is a big person. He carries a giant backpack with him everywhere he goes. It looks like it's full of bricks. So
It's full of bricks that he has to beat people off of Gino Carano with. That's
probably, like, it makes sense why she keeps him around. Once you meet him, because you look up at him all the time.
like, oh, okay, I get it now. You look a lot shorter when your camera's pointed down at you.
Rekida's like 6'2", 6'3". He's tall.
Yeah,
I
and
had to
he's
look
one
up
of
at
the
him.
shorter guys as I understand it. Like that's the like I think like you and Camelot are down with me here in the 5'11s.
Yeah,
And
we're
it's
all kind
like
of eye level with each other.
yeah, and then like Lofty's down in the 5'6s, 5'5s, maybe lower when he's wearing the polo, but we won't we won't hold that against him. That is always funny though when you actually like physically meet someone and it's like I try not to like think about how tall someone is when I look at them on a screen because it's like you don't know until you're next to someone. Like even oh, what the hell was I watching? I was watching some it might have been Ricado's show. And the guy that used to work for the Blaze is he had a show called the guy that like Ethan Ralph was like yelling at from outside and all this stuff and so he was talking on a show and they were like, oh, how tall are you? He's like, oh, I'm like 6'4", and they're like, oh yeah, you are kind of tall, and he's like, yeah, look at me, and he like stands up on camera and you're like, I have no idea how tall that is. Like, how tall is your tripod? How far is away your camera? I don't know any of that. But
Yeah,
that is always
unless they're
always
right
freaking
beside
hilarious.
some item that you can gauge real life perspective from. You're like,
Elijah
hey,
Schaefer,
I
that's
own one of
correct.
those. I know how tall he is now, but yeah, you can't gauge
Exactly.
that on here. My wife
So-
even was like, Nick's short. Like, at least you'll be around him. I'm like, no, he is not. Like, he's said
no.
this many times. He's not short because he is not a short man. He's a pretty tall guy. It's just the way that camera is over his head, kind of looking slightly down on him. It gives you the impression that he is a short person when it's not the case at all.
No, he just has tiny people arms like I do.
Uh, he's a lanky dude. Yeah, he's got that
Uh,
Abe Lincoln build.
Abe, Abe
Yeah,
Lincoln. You thought she disappeared, but as soon as her girl came back, so did she. I don't know what that is in reference to be honest with you. I'm guessing Renfamous, but I didn't know she had a girl that left and came back.
I see him mentioning Quarter Black. He did show up for a little bit. He wasn't like
Oh,
slated
funny.
to, but he just came in to say hi to everybody in the YouTube
Yeah,
circles. So
yeah.
got to talk to him.
Elijah Schaefer's who was I thinking about? Because he's like late night and he's just like, I'm tall. Look at me. And he just like stands up in front of the camera and it's like, dude, I don't know what we're supposed to see. It was pretty hilarious.
Oh, Elijah. I
Whatever
forgot all
he's up
about
to now,
Elijah. Yeah,
right?
it's. I think after him and his gal pal kind of did their own thing, because I barely paid attention to him in the first place, but after you see a few people turn up on Temple or whatever or different shows, you start to get to know who they are. But I just never really. I only have so much time for so many right wing grifters. Even the ones I like, it's. I'm not saying like grifter in a negative way. They're trying to make money.
No, I don't
Fine with
think you
that.
should. It's like someone who calls me a salesman. It's not a negative thing. It's just a thing.
Oh, I'll tell Ricada straight up now. Like, hey, I'm just here for the grift. I just need
Nice.
5 minutes of grift. Then I'm gone. You comprehend this. You get this. You know what I'm up to. Let's not fuck around with each other here. Just be straight up. So, but he's a good sport because he'll tell you grift away, do it, make that money. So
Exactly. Exactly. Because here's the real issue with a grift is if the grift is bad. I would even argue that if we take the definition of a grifter, where it's someone who is trying to get money for something they don't believe in, but the thing they're getting money for is still a net positive, that even that grifter would still be good, right? Like I think that at the end of the day, it's sort of an ends justify the means thing, where you don't know if I have your best intentions at heart when I try to sell you something, but if you trust me and then that thing ends up working out, does it matter if I did or not?
essentially, it's just internet lingo for anyone trying to make money for the work they do. Like we know what it's turned into.
Exactly.
It doesn't hold its definition any longer. It's just a way for someone to feel like they insulted you when they can't insult you with that.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So it's language organically changing because people used it to death for the wrong reasons. So now it means nothing to us, and we just say it out of jest at ourselves. It's like someone being like, "You're a racist Nazi." Now we just call each other that and laugh because it's such a
Yeah.
silly idea to people. you know?
Nothing removes the sting of a word better than taking it from what someone intends to be a negative and just using it as your own. Well, this is my nickname now.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
nothing else will take that away faster. Who's Soul Junior? Did you meet Soul Junior? I don't actually know who Soul Junior is.
I might have if he's a YouTuber that covers anime and is possibly black. I might have. So we're at
Based
least
on
two
the
or
name
three of those.
Soul and Junior,
Well, I
I
feel like
would
I met
make
a
an
guy that said
assumption.
that was his name, but there were like three guys that all looked very similar that I talked to, that were in the same
Yeah.
realm, same thing, and it was just like, I, I
Yeah, it's
think
hard for
it is.
us
It's
milk
a high
monkeys to know the
possibility.
difference.
Yeah, when you're
Uh,
talking to just hundreds and hundreds of people, you start to lose track because they're not like regular customers type thing where you get to know them. You're just
big black guy with an Ahagao jacket. Okay, that's a little more specific. Very loud, possibly high.
I
Yeah. So you've just described every large person at a con I've ever met.
it's,
Uh,
it's you know what though, my biz partner was like, he liked how no matter what the ethnic group was, you could tell everyone learned how to sew and make props.
oh
It's
yeah,
like it wasn't restricted to just like females raised by their grandmothers. It was everybody there. They were so into it and so into the craft of cosplaying and so into the quality and the work and the craftsmanship of their thing. I was like, yeah, dude, there's going to be a whole minority of like kids raised in the inner city that found DBZ and now they know how to sew and cast and mold and make their own costumes and their own
yeah,
props and their own fake swords. Like, I don't think people truly appreciate, and this is something that's bugged me for a while from the West. And I get into arguments occasionally with people about it that try too hard to dunk on it. But cosplaying, I'm like, why are you trying to dunk on cosplaying? I don't care if a bunch of e-girls do it. Do you see the amount of work they put into this stuff? The few that just buy a crappy costume on Amazon do not do as well as the girls that are like building their own props and they have a sewing room and they're making stuff and they're learning to cast and mold different materials and things that are light enough that they can actually wear these wild outfits and stand up
yeah,
straight. Like a
and
lot
have
of
it
work
not
and
fall
thought.
apart.
Yeah, yeah. So to me, it's really impressive. I look at it and my mind's blown at the amount of skills young ones are getting and learning just by default of wanting to dress up like a character.
Yep.
It's not like furries where you're disgusted by their presence. It's different. Like
This is
furries
just a
are just like,
means to an end for you. Yeah, no, you're like,
yeah.
wow, that took skill, that took something to make, and you know, I've been doing, you know, I come from a family where Halloween was every year. Everybody would make their own costumes, and then Grandma would film you and be like, "Oh, who are you?" and would go through the whole series of things. So like, you know, I sewed my own Matrix jacket. So moving into like cosplay was a thing where it was like, okay, yeah, I know how to sew, and but then it was like, at the time, like I did a Ninja Gaiden cosplay where we didn't really have 3D printers the way we have them now, but we had like these plastic BBs that you would boil in water and then mold like Play-Doh, and then it would harden into like a piece of plastic. So I made like Ryu's like headband thing and his shin guards and stuff. And it's like you have to learn so many different skills to do a cosplay.
Mhm.
That when you see someone who did it, you know, and they didn't just, you know, buy it online, and it's like, wow, that took so much effort beyond just picking who you wanted to be, because sometimes that's the hardest part, is like, who do I care enough about to now put this much work into, right? And that's always fantastic and hilarious.
And you know there's
um
going to be at least 5 or 6 characters of the year, like whatever the
mhm.
pop anime is of the year that's just, or the manga that's just red hot.
Genshin Impact and Demon
Yeah.
Slayer, just
And
you're like,
Demon
who are
Slayer
you?
for sure,
I don't know,
dude. Like,
Genshin.
dude, it was adorable though. Like the amount of little girls dressed up as the little chick,
Net
demon chick from Demon Slayer with the
Nezuko,
bamboo in her
yeah.
mouth. Yeah. Like, I love that character. And even though I don't know a lot about Demon Slayer, I watched enough to be like, she's stuck with this demon, but they got to take care of her. But she's almost
Yep.
got like this thing in her mouth to prevent her from being aggressive like a dog with people. Like it was just interesting concept, interesting look, and it was, you know, you see that in anime and manga where something stands out because it's perfect. It's perfect for what it is. It's genius. And every time I'd see that character, I'm like, I don't love the whole show. There's times where I get bored. I'm not really digging certain aspects, but that character is, I get why people love it, even if it's for that thing more than everything else. I get it. And you see like little kids, like little 8 and 10-year-old girls dressed in an amazing cosplay of that character. And every time their dad was like walking and holding their hand and they got excited about something, their arms went behind their back and they took off doing the run, just like in the cartoon. And I was like,
Just
look at the
going
little
for it.
kids. This is awesome. They're so
Oh, that's
excited. They're
hilarious.
naturally just running like her because kids do that. Like more when they're little, like when they're
Yeah,
like,
those stupid arms out,
yeah.
sprinting.
So
Yeah.
I was like, this is so cute and adorable. These little girls all running around dressed up, putting up with this thing strapped to their their face all day, and they're
And you get the
so
one where
excited.
like Big Brother is Tanjiro, and Dad made an actual wooden box for him to carry around, and now he has to carry his sister around all day. Like, I've
I
seen
mean,
a couple of those, and I've been like, damn, that kid's got some resolve.
there were kids, like there were hordes of like, I'd say like 12 to 14-year-old girls dressed up. You'd see like 5 or 6 at a time, and then just one absolute beefcake dad, like the dad that volunteered to take them all, and the other parents that were like, we're cool with that. He's the dad that will we trust to keep an eye on him. And I mean,
Yeah.
you would just see them walking behind their group of like 6 or 7 little girls, all just tickled pink and excited and having fun and taking pictures. And then just this absolute beefcake, scary looking man looking mean and angry everywhere they went. And I was like, I love it. Look at all these dads. Look at all these dads here. Like, don't you come near my little girls. If any weirdo comes near my girls, I'm gonna pop his head like a grape. So it was,
Suddenly pops into a booth to buy some like vintage OVAs. Oh, I haven't seen these since 1984. This is awesome.
yeah. You girls remember Ninja Scroll? And they're just, huh?
Huh? Huh?
Yeah. Now, Dad,
You wear New Balance. Stay away from us.
your polo's tucked in. Ew.
Ah.
But it was cool to just see so many kids and families and people. And I mean, you see that at every con to some degree, but you just saw it
Yeah.
on a way bigger scale here. Everything,
Oh,
like they
and
say,
it's
everything in
always,
Texas is
yeah,
bigger. So
yeah. Yeah, no, definitely, because you'll see like the like I think our like as big as SakuraCon is, like you'll see groups of people like in that 12 to 17 range wandering around on their own because they're damn well old enough to wander around a convention on their own when it's a building. Like it's not like it's multiple buildings or really that big or crazy. Um but yeah, when you get to some of those bigger ones, like I've been to AX in LA, and it's like, damn, there's so many places I can go to, and you see that, and you're like, yeah, go dad,
Yeah.
go
Well,
dad,
you
you
could
got
you could
this.
lose track of people in these huge places. It's
Hmm.
easy to and when everyone's dressed in the same 5 costumes, and you're like, "Where's my daughter? She should be in that Demon Slayer thing she was talking about." And you're like, "Oh my God, there's 30,000 Demon Slayer girls here." Huh.
Exactly.
They're almost all the same height. And they all have a mask on, just like her.
Oh, damn
Hey,
it.
yeah. So I was glad to see everything going well. But people are so hospitable too that I think if you got lost, you could literally, as a child, walk up to a stranger and say, I lost my parents," and most strangers there would have taken you right to the information counter and made sure
Definitely.
people were found immediately. Like there was just, I mean, there's danger everywhere. People said, I was told by a lawyer that's lives down there that I met that was like a CG super fan, that Houston was like one of the top like human trafficking cities in the world. And I was like,
Hmm.
it's so hard to believe because at least in this little spot I'm in, he had to make me understand this is more in relation to Mexico and issues they have at the border. It's not so much Houston itself. It's more of like
Yeah.
the borders issues spilling over. But I was like, everyone's just so friendly and so polite. Like I can't imagine anyone even being mean to each other down here. He'd be like, "Yeah, Les, I think I've one person's gotten shot downtown in X amount of years." I was like, "That's pretty good. You guys don't realize for a big city that one guy getting shot outside of an Astros game like a few years ago, like that's the same level of crime that's in my town of 11,000. Like
Yeah,
that's
no,
good.
that's pretty damn good. It's pretty
I mean, I
damn
get
good.
the ghettos of Houston are rough, but for any downtown of a major city, that's pretty good.
100%. Even the non-ghettos of the Northwest are worse than that.
Exactly. There's like trailer parks in a town of like, 45 people where you're going to get more crime every 2 hours than that. So,
Hmm.
well,
Well,
brother,
and
I'm about to
oh,
crash out here.
all right.
I appreciate you
Always
having me on. Hit me up anytime, obviously, and vice versa. I'm going to pester you in the old DMs. I can't help myself. But
hit me up.
thanks,
Always wonderful.
everyone.
Thank you for your correspondence. Everybody go to indiegogo.com/death. Does that work? I'll put the link down in the description. That'll be
It,
easier.
yeah, it's the only thing on Indiegogo called Death, Death, Death. So you do have that luxury that if you punch it in the search, you're not going to have any other options with that specific title.
Is it death, or is it death squared? Is it? Yeah. All right, popping it. Boom, boom. Go buy death. I'm gonna write that now. Bingo. On there. Awesome. Thank you for jumping in. Thank you for filling us in on Matsuri, and how much fun you had there, as well as just all of the weird and wacky places that our conversations always seem to go, which I freaking love. It is always the best part of talking with people, is just kind of seeing where the flow of the conversation ends up. Look forward to
You're a joy to speak to, Blaine.
Thank you. Oh no, he's gonna buy life. Don't do that. No.
That's my
Thank
mortal
you.
enemy book. Don't buy that one. That guy's just trying to spite me.
My God, I think I might parody your book and call it life, and then pay you to make it.
That would be pretty
Oh,
funny.
anyway.
Anyway, well, hey,
Thank you
thank
so
you.
much. You have
Yeah,
a wonderful rest of your evening. Anything else you'd like to say? You've got the floor, and then feel free to pop off.
I just thank you, chat, for keeping the conversation going on your end too. I casually kind of pay attention to it as we're going on, and you guys, you may not know it, but like, I don't want to burst out loud, but I get some pretty good laughs out of this chat because I say some pretty good zingers in there. And if you know anime culture, some of the zingers are even better, if you understand the context of them. But a lot of the milk jokes, I love that. You guys rip on me about the milk consumption all you want. I enjoy that. That's like an appropriate thing where I'm like, they're not wrong. It might be a joke, but it's kind of true. So,
There you
thank you
go.
for having me, and I'll catch up with you guys next time I can.
Awesome. All right, you have a good one, Joe.
All right, later, dude.
See ya. All the ideas you're giving me. Yeah, I was gonna say as soon as he said chat is pretty hilarious, I was like, oh, that's Jim Manire. Oh, the second I thought about that. Awesome. Always love having Joe on. That is fantastic. He's trying to grow boobs. Not that I'm aware of. But he is a milk fan. He is a moo cow titty fiend, apparently. Spending $12 on milk that he downs and then has to like will himself not to throw up because he was feeling kind of ooky. That all happened earlier in the episode here. So if you want to find out exactly why Joe loves milk, you can rewind or rewatch on the replay. The new mod powers, we will not use them to talk to minors, unlike a Discord mod. Do you want to be a Discord mod? I don't have. Wait, do I have a Discord mod? I think I do. I think I have one. I think I made Serranos a Discord mod. But he's the only one, and I don't think we have any minors in Discord, so I think we're still safe there. So no worries there. Oh my goodness, what a wonderful long stream. Was not expecting it to go that far. I was just gonna yell about shoes for a while, but everybody's been talking about Matsuri, so I figured, hey, Joe's here, let's see if he wants to chat about Matsuri. We'll bring him on in. It'll be all good. Perfect match for my alt in Mabinogi. Mabinogi. What the hell is Mabinogi? Mabinogi. Online game. Oh, this is adorable. Your fantasy life. This is adorable. This is that 2006, 2004 style CG. Oh my goodness. I love this. This is the kind of shit that I spent an entire summer playing and didn't do anything else. That will suck me straight into its world, and I will not come back. So unless we make that a part of like, oh, I'll start a Twitch channel and we can play Mabinogi on Twitch. Don't ever show me that again. Her name is Lactose. Does she have healthy sized milk jugs? If he likes milk so much, why doesn't he make his own? That's not a bad question now that I think about it. Why don't you own the cow? Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? Anyway, alrighty, let's call it. We talked about how garbage those sneakers, those Skechers were. We talked about how cool the Clarks were. We went over top anime waifus from spring 2022. Did we also do? I feel like I had another article that I talked about. Did we do everything? I think we did everything. Healthy sized milk jug, so one serving. What are you talking about? Joe eats too many steaks to produce milk. He would need more soy. That is true. He would need to eat more soy steaks in order to actually start helping himself out there. But I think the idea would be that he actually just milk the cow. I hope that's where that conversation was going. Anyway, everyone, thank you so much for turning out tonight. Congratulations, Peter Venkman fan site, on your brand new wrench. You are the latest to the anti-hentai bot crew, the bot brigade. Sorry, you are now one who has to fight off the bots when they come in and actually try to ruin our wonderful chat room. She's permanently in a cow suit. I never change her out of it. Okay, I need some imagery. Can you snip some stuff? I'm gonna post a link to our Discord in chat here, as well as anti-Greek bot boy. No, anti-hentai bot brigade. That's what it is. I'm gonna post an invite to Discord here. Can you share with me some snips from this game you play? Nothing that will dox you, but you have me so intrigued as to what is going on with a cow wearing character. And I'll put it in the video description as well, in case that that you have to come back later. But I'm super interested in that. Bye everyone. Sorry that I was early. I wasn't early. I was right at 7. And in fact, I was late because I had to play the intro twice, because I ran downstairs and grabbed the sake, but then I came back up and I didn't have a cup, so I had to run back downstairs to grab a cup. So it took me 2 intros to actually go live. So I definitely wasn't early. You and your homies hate the thought bots? Yeah. Yeah, we all hate the thought bots. Awesome. All right, everyone. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Kampai.